How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Yell in the Cell podcast where we talk about pro wrestling. My name is Zachary Weinberger here with JP Acosta. And before we start anything, JP, how's it going?
It's going great, man. It's been a really good week for wrestling, both in and out of the ring. The WWE just released their WWE 24 on Big E today, so that's gonna be feature viewing for me today after we finish up here. But it's been a pretty good week.
Yeah, always eventful like usual, but this week was very much so as well. So again, we'll just get started immediately. We'll talk about Monday Night Raw here, and before we start, I would say that Raw has been kind of up and down, usually how it kind of is. I would say this past Raw has been pretty solid, even when missing their big star in Drew McIntyre. He wasn't there. Obviously, they're coming off the events of Elimination Chamber. The Miz cashed in his Money in the Bank. He is the new WWE champion, and that's where we start off with this. He starts off with Miz TV. Him and Morrison. Morrison introduces him. I particularly loved his entrance, The Miz, because the pyro was so over, just so extra. It was just amazing. So he comes to the ring and he pretty much says, like, he tells people, the haters, I told you so. I'm the best. I'm the first ever two-time Grand Slam champion. He calls himself the Babe Ruth of WWE. He's just gloating about himself, telling the haters that, cry about it, stuff like that, which is all great and dandy. However, MVP and Bobby Lashley come into the ring and they pretty much kind of confirm what the fans were thinking is that, during Elimination Chamber, we saw the Miz and MVP kind of talk backstage, and you probably think they probably made a little deal saying if Bobby Lashley kind of freshened up for McIntyre, he can come in, win the championship, and he'll get first dibs, Bobby Lashley. Well, Lashley and MVP pretty much confirmed that, and the Miz says, well, I need time. I'm very busy. I need to plan stuff, whatever. MVP just goes up to his face and says, listen, man, we made a deal. I'm going to give you 1 hour to come to your senses. If not, I'm going to, instead of Miz TV, I forgot exactly what he said, but he basically said, like, the name of the show is going to be like how he's going to kick his ass and stuff like that. So he says, you have an hour. And that beating is going to be awesome, he said. So I'm actually going to kind of get through the 1 hour stuff. I'm going to skip to, it's a little, again, an hour into the show. Bobby Lashley and MVP come down, and Bobby Lashley's in ring gear. He's ready to go. But you see MVP, you see John Morrison and The Miz come down to the ring, and The Miz is still in that suit. And Bobby Lashley is like visibly furious. So he talks about it. And he says, listen, The Miz says, I need to bring my best for you. You deserve that. So give me a week. Give me at least a week, and we can have the match. And this is also when Adam Pearce is in the ring as well. But who comes out? It's Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman, who's our favorite wrestler, obviously, he comes down to the ring, and he basically says, like, again, I was screwed over not being in the Elimination Chamber. I'm a former Universal Champion, even though that's not what the criteria says, but whatever. And he says, I should be getting a title shot. And he said the best line I've ever heard a wrestler say. I think you probably picked this up as well, JP. He says, I'm more clarified than Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship, completely botching that word.
Such a way with words.
Such a way with words is Braun Strowman. And then who comes down to the ring? It's Shane McMahon. He comes down to the ring, and it seems like, again, we're going to talk about it in a bit. They're setting a little bit of a Shane Braun Strowman thing here because they're kind of going back at each other. Shane has no fear for Braun Strowman. He says, like, listen, like, the criteria was to be a former WWE champion. You're a former Universal champion. It doesn't make any sense. And then Braun Strowman said, well, you should put me in the title match next week because I think all you guys suck. And then Shane McMahon says, well, you know what, Braun Strowman? I think you suck. It's just so stupid. And then, but I think it was either Braun or Shane made this thing saying, hey, listen, we'll have a match tonight. If Braun beats Bobby Lashley in the main event tonight, he's going to make it a triple threat WWE Championship match next week. And throughout all this, the Miz's face is priceless. He's just like, man, I'm at a very big disadvantage here. So that is the match being made there, and we'll talk about that main event later there. But that's the whole segment. Just JP, with those two segments, what did you think about it?
I really like what they're doing with the Miz here. This is, I'm not gonna say peak Miz, but this is the best version of the Miz, where he has a title and he's acting cockier than everybody else. But once somebody gets in his way, he goes back to being the cowardly heel. That's perfect for the Miz. Putting Bobby Lashley straight into the WWE title picture is the best thing that they could have done, because Bobby Lashley is somebody that Drew hasn't faced recently, somebody that the Miz hasn't faced recently, and someone who's on such a hot streak right now, where you can put the title on him and say, yeah, he's going to be the champ, and it's utterly believable. I kind of originally didn't like the addition of Braun Strowman because I felt like it was unnecessary. But then looking back on it, I was like, well, it made sense because you wanted to give somebody to Bobby Lashley who he'd make somebody to make Bobby Lashley look really strong and really unbeatable. And what's more unbeatable than beating a 385-pound man? I do like where the story's going, though. I'm glad that Strowman is out of the picture so it can solely be Lashley versus The Miz. But you got to think that Drew McIntyre is going to interfere somehow or some way.
Yeah, and again, we'll talk about the main event a little later, and especially giving our like slight predictions about the championship match that's going to be happening next week. But we move on to the first match of the night, and we move on to new United States champion Matt Riddle, and he's not defending his title, but he's having a match against John Morrison, who was in the match at Elimination Chamber in that triple threat. And this is one of the times where, like, I tweeted this out during the show and talk about how Raw, this week was it felt like a different creative team and different people backstage doing the matches, because usually with Raw you never have these meaningful wrestling matches. They always last a couple of minutes. They're very sloppy because again they don't really plan it to be like that. To me, I thought that Riddle and Morrison put on a show here to start off the show. It was the match of the night, and it kept being like that. There's some pretty okay ones coming in a little later, and we'll talk about it. But I thought these two were absolutely great with each other. The chemistry is amazing, and I think it just proves how we always forget how good John Morrison really is in the
Oh,
ring, and like he's actually really good. And obviously, people will always talk about how he deserves a title reign, and I don't know if we'll ever get to that. We'll see. Obviously, he's done in other places like Impact and stuff like that, but I mean, he can go. Absolutely. And again, those two have such amazing chemistry. Morrison hits a shooting star press pretty early on. Riddle counters it with a triangle submission. This was a really kind of a mixture of the submission hold, but also the high flying stuff that these two are kind of capable of doing. It comes to the point where actually Morrison tries to hit it. He hits an amazing Spanish fly that just was so athletic as he hit that. But then at the end, he tries to hit a Starship Pain, and then Matt Riddle catches him and hits a Roderick for the 1-2-3. Really solid match here. What did you think, JP, of this one?
This is a really fun match, and I honestly really like John Morrison in the ring. He uses every part of the ring and every part of his body to the highest extent. There was one part where he balanced on the ropes with like his knee or like lower part of his leg and did like a tornado over the top rope, and everybody called it a botch. But then he showed a video of himself like practicing the move, and I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, imagine how flexible and how creative you have to be. Just be like, yeah, I'm just going to put my knee on the top rope and I'm not going to die. And it's going to look cool. That's what John Morrison does. He makes stuff look really cool. Matt Riddle, of course, one of the better in-ring talents in terms of believability. But I did find it interesting that the post-match of the Elimination Chamber video that WWE posted on YouTube, it said Matt Riddle basks in the glory of the U.S. title win. And I'm like, are we foreshadowing some Keith Lee stuff here? Because I have a feeling that's what's going to lead to. But like you said, this was probably my favorite match of the night for Raw. I'd love to see it again. Normally, I don't say like, hey, we should only have a couple matches between these guys before you find someone new. I want to see what they can do again, see what other cool stuff they can pull out.
Absolutely. And that's actually interesting. You mentioned the whole Keith Lee thing. And I think we talked about it a little bit before. You mentioned like how WrestleMania, that could be like the match for the United States title. That could definitely steal the show on one of the nights there. And I completely agree. That would be amazing. Not sure if they would kind of, put no pun intended, but, make it faster for Fastlane. But it'll be interesting to do. And it just kind of shows when the whole thing with the botch thing you can talk about with John Morrison. It's like, it's funny, like people who never have been in a ring are talking about how it's a botch when it's really not a botch. So again, like obviously you can know what a botch is if you've been watching for a long time, but sometimes you just really don't know. But a great match nonetheless. We move on. We move on to the New Day versus Retribution. It's Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods versus T-Bar and Mace. This one was ended pretty quickly, but the time that they did have, they go back and forth with each other. There comes to a point where that Retribution was really harping on Kingston. They isolated him a lot. T-Bar kicks Woods off the apron. They hit that double team finisher that they do. It's kind of like a power bomb, neck breaker sort of thing. And then, but Ali, they're about to pin him, and Ali says to do it again instead of trying to go for the pin. So, but during this whole point of Ali talking to them, they managed to recover, and then I think that Kingston just rolls him up for just a really quick win there. And as the New Day are celebrating, and T-Bar and Mason, I think Reckoning is there, and Slapjack are in the ring. Mustafa Ali comes to the ring, and he pretty much just goes AWOL. He goes crazy on them, says, you guys have failed me again, stuff like that. You guys suck. So, just in the realm of that sort of thing. And that's the end of the segment. So I'm not sure if that means we're not getting no more Retribution or something, we'll get something different here. JP, brief thoughts on this match and maybe that ending.
It was a fun match. Like I said, it was brief, but it was kind of fun. I'm tired of seeing New Day versus Retribution. I think we've seen every iteration. I think it's time for the New Day to move on. I'm not sure where to move on to, considering there's only like 4 tag teams in the Raw division. So you can move on to the Lucha House Party, move on to the Hurt Business. You just have to spice up those matchups. You got to give them something different. As far as Retribution goes, I don't know, man, because it seemed like they're on a hot streak. Then Mustafa Ali lost in the kickoff show. Then Retribution lost here. They've been on a recent streak of like losing matches. So it's making them lose their believability as a threat to the tag titles or just as a faction. It could feel like Retribution's imploding, but I don't know what the plan would be if they were to break up Retribution. Would Mustafa Ali just go back to doing what he was doing earlier? What would happen to like Slapjack, T-Bar, Mace, and Reckoning? This was the first time I thought I've seen Reckoning in a while. So it's interesting to see where they're going to go with this, because I don't know if it's going to be good.
Right. No, I mean, with Reckoning, when it came to Reckoning, obviously Mia Yim, I think, contracted COVID, right? And she was kind of gone for a couple weeks there. But I'm in the same boat as you. I just really, maybe it's time for Retribution to go already. I don't know if this means they're going to break up or this means it's like they're going to kick Ali out. They'll stage a coup and they'll just kind of get him out of there. Who knows? But I don't know if Retribution lasts until WrestleMania. I really don't know. Whatever the case may be, we're gonna find out tomorrow. We're recording this on the Sunday, so I guess we'll see. But I don't know. I really wouldn't mind if they kind of grown apart because they've been losing a lot. I mean, I need like a catch on Cage Match for how every single person on Retribution, how much have they won, how much have they lost, because I feel like they've lost so many times more than they've won. So, and that's not the way you want to set up a faction. That's just not ideal at all. And yeah, I'm just not with it. And like you said, the whole New Day thing, it was good at first, but then I feel like the momentum was kind of shot. I thought that Ali was going to get involved in Kofi Kingston's Elimination Chamber match, but I guess that didn't happen at all. He was trying to take his place. That didn't happen. So I know we have to, I guess we move on from that. But
so it looks here, Retribution as like a faction, as like in tag team matches. When was the last time that they won was November 16th, 2020.
That can't be true. Really?
As a group, not like individually.
That's bad. That's bad.
Because remember they had that whole everybody versus Ricochet, and then everybody versus Woods. So
I don't know, man. Like again, why is Reckoning even there? I feel like that if you have Mia Yim in there, who's very talented, we know this, that she could be a pretty good player in the women's division if they set her up right. I mean, why not? I mean, you can have her go after the Raw Women's title. You can get some Asuka and Mia Yim action there. That's pretty awesome, but they just didn't do it. The only match that Mia Yim has had as Reckoning, I feel like was against Dana Brooke.
It was a mixed tag match.
It was mixed tag, maybe. Yeah.
Reckoning and Slapjack lost to Dana Brooke and Ricochet.
Yeah, and I think during that match, Mia Yim like lost her mask during it. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's it's not good.
Series of unfortunate events.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, I mean, Retribution was kind of. I mean, I was on the minority saying, "Listen, let's just play this out. This is kind of good." I mean, I like the whole storyline of like, okay, the outsiders. They've been wronged by WWE. You can do a lot of shoot promos from that. And Ali has been doing it. He's been killing on the mic, but the way they've been booking it's been pretty bad. So whatever, we move on. The Lucha House Party faces the Hurt Business in a tornado tag match, and this is all Hurt Business from the start. And the one thing I will get from this, and obviously this ended up where as many times as Dorado and Metalik were trying to get something done, Benjamin and Alex would just come back. They would gain the control. Benjamin hits pay dirt on Dorado for the pin and the win. They control most of this match here. These guys looked on the same page from bell to bell, which is good to see because we saw those two kind of like, again, they're the Raw Tag Team Champions. They were kind of going head to head. They didn't really agree on a lot of things and stuff like that. This time they're on the same page. JP, brief thoughts on this match and the thoughts on maybe that they're kind of like now that Alexander and Benjamin are on the same page now.
It was a fun match. Again, I really like the Lucha House Party Hurt Business kind of dynamic. I would like to see them face other people now, but I think the Lucha House Party was really fun in this match. They played the plucky kind of underdogs really well, but you're right. It was all Hurt Business from the get go. I think what the whole dynamic is, they kind of argue when it's a tag match, but if it's tornado tag where they can focus on their individual stuff, then like, yeah, they'll be cool because they're not having to worry about the other person because tornado tag. But I like that they added that there were no like disagreements or anything within the Hurt Business. Like everybody's fine because everybody's winning. They're still winning. So that's really all that matters. But once again, a fun match. I would like to see the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Hurt Business, face someone different. And I was just thinking about this while I was talking, like, the Raw division really misses the Viking Raiders. It's unfortunate Ivar got hurt, but they really need another tag team in there. And the Viking Raiders would fit perfectly with the group they have in there now. Like New Day, Viking Raiders, Hurt Business, Retribution, whenever they do tag matches. They just need somebody else there to give them some life.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously they were huge. Obviously, them and the Street Profits had a huge thing on Raw for a long time. So I agree. That injury was pretty severe to Ivar. So I mean, whenever he comes back, and again, Eric, he's been doing nothing. He was in the 24/7 division for a little bit. He was doing some underground stuff when that was a thing. Obviously they can't find him stuff to do without him. So I mean, hopefully he comes back sooner rather than later, so we can get the Viking Raiders back. But we move on. Angel Garza versus Damien Priest. We saw this earlier, like several weeks ago, when it was Miz and Morrison accompanying Angel Garza to the ring. That was more so of a squash match where Damien Priest kind of like just took control most of the time here. However, this time around, it was really more back and forth. And I would say that they put on a really good match here. I don't know if it reached the level of the opening match with Riddle and Morrison. However, this match was pretty damn good. Bad Bunny again accompanies Damien Priest to the ring for this one as well. It starts off where Priest runs over Garza with a clothesline, and then Garza kind of gets back at him hits him, trips him to the middle turnbuckle, hits a pair of clotheslines as well. It comes to a point where the Archer, the Archer of Infamy, as they call him, obviously Damien Priest, breaks out the camel clutch. Garza stomps on him. Priest gets back to his feet. Flurry of strikes, the thing that he does. The vengeance stuff that he does as well. He hits the broken arrow for only just a 2 count. Garza then comes back, hits a clothesline. There's some jabs between him and Bad Bunny. They're really cursing at each other a lot. Some in Spanish, some in English. But he pretty much gets a little bit distracted as he hits as when he taunts Bad Bunny. Priest recovers and he hits the finisher for the win. They renamed his finisher to, I think, Hit the Lights. That is what the finisher's name is now. Brief thoughts on that. I've seen a lot of mixed things. Some people say it's terrible. Some people say who cares. I'm on the who cares side. What do you think?
I'm on the who cares side because the reason that they changed the name was because there's a person named Reckoning on Raw. So calling it The Reckoning would be kind of weird.
Yeah.
I personally don't mind Hit the Lights. It's one of the last things you should worry about when it comes to the name of a finisher. As long as it looks cool, it doesn't matter what you call it because people will remember it because the move will look cool. But in terms of this match, Damian Priest is a star. he's a star right now. Everything he does looks really cool, and he just has that kind of aura to him. Like, I don't know how to explain. It's like a personality. Like how you can tell somebody's like really good at what they do without them having to actually like show what they do. Like he has that superstar, like rock star kind of aura, which is what's going for. But Damian Priest is a star. Angel Garza made him look like a star. It was a pretty fun match. I'm excited to see where this Damian Priest thing is going with Bad Bunny.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't care about the finisher thing, and I was good to see that Angel Garza, that they know that he can actually wrestle. He doesn't need to be in these squash matches, you know. So him and Damian Priest putting up a fight, and I don't even think it hurts Damian Priest as well, because maybe saying like, oh, he doesn't really look that strong against a guy like Angel Garza. I feel like I really didn't get that at all. These guys really had a really good match, and it's going to come to a point where, you know, I do think that the opponents of Damian Priest getting kind of like distracted by Bad Bunny, leading always to a hit the lights for the win. It's like, okay, you know, Damian Priest can win on his own, but that's fine for now. They're building him up again, pairing him up with Bad Bunny is an amazing idea. We've talked about it before in comparison to other Hollywood celebrities on different shows, whatever. We'll talk about another one to the Wednesday shows. We'll talk about it, but it's great. And what they're doing with Damian Priest, he has the look, you know, besides having that rock star aura, like you said, he just has the look of being a superstar. And it seems like they're going to be doing it. We'll see, because we were thinking it's going to be Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Priest. We could still probably get that, you know, rather, you know, at WrestleMania, but we'll see. So we move on. We move on to our favorite storyline, Asuka and Charlotte Flair versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. I will say, though, not a bad match here. You know, we did get this. This is kind of like their TLC rematch, when Charlotte and Asuka won the titles there. But honestly, not a bad one here. It comes to the point where obviously Asuka, she brings Shayna Baszler to the corner, tags Charlotte in there. Baszler breaks free. Nia Jax comes in there, overpower Charlotte Flair. And then after the break, we see Baszler really working the arm of Asuka again, doing that joint manipulation thing that always just makes me queasy. It's terrible, but awesome at the same time. Charlie gets a tag, does a double suplex, you know, on the champions, and then when Jax and Asuka are tagged in, it comes to a point where we see Asuka going to Rampage. It comes to a moment of the match actually, which Shayna Baszler kicks Asuka in the head, um, for real, and then Shayna Baszler has to like check on her. That looked bad. When I saw my whoa, that looked pretty gruesome, and it seemed like he actually did make contact. So Asuka was fine though. She recovered pretty quickly. So I mean, that's just how tough and great she is. Um, but it comes to and I put this on Twitter as well, that Charlotte looked very out of it in this match. Obviously, she got the news that, you know, Lacey Evans is pregnant. And I guess, you know, at this point she didn't know that, I guess, Flair was the father or not. I don't know. But she locks Asuka locks Jackson in an armbar. Baszler kicks her in the face. That's when the whole thing happened. It comes to a point where Charlotte accidentally kicks Asuka in the face when Asuka was holding down Shayna Baszler so she can do it, and it's allowed Jackson to hit the leg drop on her for the win. So then afterwards, Charlotte Flair tries to help Asuka up. Asuka slaps her hand away. She yells at her because she kicked her in the face, and we're starting to see the, you know, the clash between those two. But no heel tactics from Charlotte this time around. She just kicked her in the face because, again, she's out of it. Afterwards, we see a little thing where a promo of Ric Flair and Charlotte talking backstage, and this is where I had to talk about the creative team, right, being different, because this was really good. I thought Charlotte Flair put on some really good character work here, basically telling her father, like, listen, like, I'm tired of this. Like, you just need to go home. You know, you acting like you're the father of Lacey's child is just so unprofessional. Like, why are you doing this? Like, she was like, why are you doing this? And we're asking the same question. Why are you doing this? Um, and then there comes to a point also where she says, like, you know, I'm trying to, like, and Ric Flair says, like, listen, I'm trying to keep the brand on. I want to be involved. And I swear, listen, I saw things in Lacey that I think that, again, it can continue kind of our name. And then Charlotte says, well, listen, I want to be myself. I don't want to be known as Ric Flair's daughter. I want to be Charlotte Flair. So please just go home. And that's it. So Thoughts on the match and thoughts on that promo right afterwards.
I am tired of seeing Asuka and Charlotte as a tag team. It's kind of frustrating because Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion. It
I
feels like
forgot that she
we've
was.
forgotten that she is the Raw Women's Champion because she hasn't defended the title in what seems like ages. I'm over it as a tag team. They need somebody to face her for the title. Somebody, anybody, just consistently. But I will say the promo work between Charlotte and Ric Flair during that segment was my favorite part of this whole storyline because it felt real. It felt believable. Charlotte said something in there about Rick always falling for blondes, and I was like, "Dang, that's kind of wild." You say that about your dad who's like 71, but it is kind of cringe for Rick to like have to say like, "Yeah, I'm not the father," and I don't know. That was really cringe to me because why we have to do this? Why do I need? I shouldn't have to need you to explain that you are not the father of a child and you are 71. That would just be weird. But it was really great promo work all around from both of them, and it kind of makes me curious to see where this goes because it is coming to WrestleMania, and you know Charlotte's going to be on the card. It's just a matter of where and how.
Yeah, and again, we've always thought that maybe Charlotte and Asuka is probably the match they'll do maybe at WrestleMania. Who knows? Within this though, we get a couple vignettes throughout the night. Rhea Ripley's coming to Monday Night Raw. Okay, and that's huge, right? Raw needs her. They really need her. I'm glad it's happening. It really wasn't. People are saying like, "Oh, where should she go? Should she go to Raw or SmackDown?" There really was only one choice. She cannot go to SmackDown. SmackDown does not need her. Raw needs her right now. And I would listen. As much as I would hate to say it, if we're doing slight predictions here, I just think that Asuka needs to drop the title, and here's why. Okay, it's because this title reign has become just not good because of the lack of talent here. Okay, so I would not mind if at Fastlane she loses the title to Charlotte,
Oh no.
but at WrestleMania, who comes for the title? It's Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley gets the title from Charlotte at WrestleMania. Again, what happened the last WrestleMania? She lost the NXT title to Charlotte Flair. The fact that I had to say that still baffles me that I had to say that, but she did. I wouldn't mind saying it. What do you think about that? Maybe at WrestleMania it's a triple threat. That I would like maybe a little bit better with those three. What do you think?
I honestly wouldn't mind it. That quick little Charlotte winning at Fastlane, it'll probably set the internet on fire for
Oh
like
yeah,
a couple of weeks. And then they'll get to Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania and they'll be, okay, it's cool because the story is there. I was just kind of looking up what's Charlotte's record at WrestleMania? Because in a singles match, has she ever lost?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Beat Rhea Ripley at 36. She lost in the triple threat match at 35.
Did she get pinned in that match? Do you know?
No, Becky pinned Ronda Rousey. Um, she beat Asuka at WrestleMania 34. Um, at WrestleMania 33,
Listen, I think well, listen, I think she's never lost at WrestleMania.
I don't think she's
That
lost
that's
a
that
singles match at WrestleMania.
yeah, I don't think so too. Um, didn't she have a match against Sasha Banks maybe one year, or it was like a triple threat or fatal four way match?
That was
I
a
don't know.
fatal four way.
Either way, okay. And let me guess, if she didn't win, she definitely didn't get pinned. That's just
No,
my
I think
guess
she
there.
got pinned.
But so here's the thing, man. It would be so huge because she's never really put over someone before, right? Um, and yeah, right now. Okay, so Bailey defeated Charlotte Flair, Nia Jackson, Sasha Banks in that match in the Fatal Four match. Um, again, I think putting over Rhea Ripley is probably what you want to see. I don't think that whole Royal Rumble finish between Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair was just to show off the young talent. It's because they want those two to be the face of the Raw and SmackDown brand, and I completely agree. because that ending was so great, just because again you saw those two as the faces of the young, coming in. We're seeing it already with Bianca Belair. We'll talk about it a little bit because she decided who she wants to face. It's the obvious decision. I wouldn't mind seeing Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair both in women's championship matches. I think that would be great. But we move on from that. Again, just I pretty much give my thoughts. It was a great segment between Charlotte and her dad, and hopefully, I don't know where this is gonna go. It seems like we'll still continue this, but Lacey's out of the equation, so I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens.
Now she's out of the equation for now.
Out of the equation for now. Again, we have a lot. Again, the whole Charlotte Asuka thing. I don't think they're gonna tag anymore. We'll see if Asuka I feel like Asuka's gonna accept her apology because Asuka's the face here, right? And then Charlotte's gonna turn on her probably tomorrow. So we'll surprise him. I don't know. we'll see. Then we move on to a pretty standard singles match between Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. These guys have had a lot of history last year. It came to a point where Jeff Hardy threw a cup of piss in Sheamus's face. Yes. Yeah, that's what fire. Yes, that is what happened. Check it out. Pretty great segment. Not a bad match though between these two. I mean, I remember they had that match at Backlash that went a little bit too long, but it was still not a bad match. And then they had that bar fight, which was really fun. Where I think Jeff Hardy won that. I remember a moment where he opened his eyes and he became a different person or something like that. But they have a match here, pretty standard match between these two. Obviously, these both came short up in the Elimination Chamber. Sheamus got eliminated by AJ Styles. Jeff Hardy got eliminated by Drew McIntyre. Pretty back and forth here. There comes a point where Jeff Hardy hits the Poetry in Motion on the outside, which plays in the first commercial break. Sheamus comes back. But then Hardy hits a Whisper in the Wind. Sheamus drops like a high knee to his face, and then then Jeff Hardy comes with a twist of fate. Hardy climbs to the top rope. Sheamus recovers, hits a bro kick, and then that's it. 1, 2, 3. Not a bad match between these two guys. Again, with these two big veterans in the ring. Again, Jeff Hardy losing another match. I feel like out of the last however so many matches, he's definitely lost a lot. I feel like his last win was with Carlito against Elias and Jackson Riker. Brief thoughts on this match, JP.
It was physical. I think whenever Sheamus is in the ring, you up the physicality of whoever he's against. That's one of the great things that Sheamus does. I'm not personally worried about Jeff Hardy losing all these matches because I feel like at this point in his career, Jeff Hardy is putting over other talent because I don't necessarily see him winning titles anytime soon. He's there to he's the older veteran trying to put over younger talent. Not younger talent, but other talent at this point in time. But it was a physical match, a good match. But I do like they're building up Sheamus again because he is also another player in this world title or WWE title kind of chase that Bobby Lashley hasn't faced. So it's going to set up for some more interesting rivalries that you can put together.
Right. And like you said, I don't think we're going to get away from Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. That is going to happen sooner rather than later, whether that happens at Fastlane or at WrestleMania. We'll see what happens with the title then. But yeah, giving Sheamus these wins is very vital. And Jeff Hardy, like you said, I mean, I feel like to me, he's one of those guys that, he can lose a lot of times, but people will still accept him if he gets a push for a title, which I don't know if that's going to happen in the future, but he seems like the type of guy. But yeah, we'll move on from that. But a good match as well. Again, a lot of good matches here. Meaningful wrestling is what I call it because Raw really hasn't had that. Which we're gonna get to a match right now that is not meaningful wrestling. But Naomi and Lana versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. So Naomi and Lana, they actually say on the broadcast because we were talking about this before when Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair got a random tag team title shot at the Elimination Chamber. Naomi and Lana are the number one contenders for the tag team titles. They said that, yeah, they're going to get it. They're going to get it. Just wait. They're going to get it. Okay. This match does not last 2 minutes. It comes to a moment where, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, they had the upper hand for the first minute. Then Naomi made a tag. She hit it, and Lana with a double face buster for the win. That's it. quick and easy. I don't know. Can you really give a grade or anything about this match? It was just I felt like this match could went at least another minute. I don't know. Um, but it's good to see, I guess, Lana and Naomi getting a win. I wish they got a win in a better match to show off that maybe they're actually a formidable team in some ways. Just Priest thoughts on this?
All right. What was the point? That's really it. You could have given them more time to like actually have a good match, but it's felt like, oh, we need to fill time. Oh, women's tag match. Oh, end it in a minute and 35 seconds. And I'm not saying like specifically like it literally ended in a minute and 35 seconds. What is the reason? You didn't build anybody up. It tore both teams down. It didn't help anybody at all involved. So
I feel like
what was the reason?
for me, I feel like it just damaged Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. And to me, again, I really never really believed them as a suitable tag team. But they just lost, like, in 2 minutes to a double face buster. Like, to me, it's just a bad look. I mean, if you gave these guys at least, like, I don't know, not even 10 minutes, like a 5-7 minute match. Again, if you want to make Naomi and Lana look good, you can give them a better match. They didn't look dominant. In those kind of matches where they win quickly. It wasn't even like a squash match. It's just, I don't know. It was just, again, it's one of those times where to me it's like, okay, this is the Raw I know. You have these matches and they mean nothing. When it comes to shows like NXT, AEW, SmackDown, every match usually means something for the most part. Except if it's like, I don't know, Orange Cassidy and Luther, um, or the Riots, or we'll talk about Liv Morgan and Tamina a little later. But I don't know. Not a fan of this. We'll move on. Better, said less than whatever. We get AJ Styles versus Ricochet here. They had a fire match several weeks ago. Everybody remembers that finish where he bounced Ricochet off the ropes into the Styles Clash. It was absolutely great. They have another match here. I would say this match was definitely worse than their first one. But again, when you have these two in the ring, you really can't complain. These two kind of go back and forth. Comes to a moment where Styles rolls out of the way of the 630 by Ricochet, gives a knee right to Ricochet's face. He tries to hit the same finish from last time, and I'm not sure if it was a botch, but he tried to bounce him off like he did before, and he didn't bounce the right way, so he had to like catch him in a weird angle. Either way, he hits the Styles Clash 1, 2, 3. Almost comes into the ring, and he does like a great Khali double choke slam right to the floor. It looked brutal. And we see that was like one of the first times we've seen him almost in the ring do something rather than outside, kind of slam Xavier Woods on the outside or rip a elimination chamber panel off. But not a bad match here. And then it does seem like, again, a random match. But then I was thinking about this, like, I feel like they're setting up Styles for something here. And there's been a whole talk of what Styles wants to do at WrestleMania if it's not for a title. They said his dream matches are against Edge. Edge is a little occupied at the moment. Another person he wanted to face was Triple H. I'm all for it. I mean, listen, you're not. Okay.
No, I'm not saying I'm not. I'm saying I'm all for it, man.
Okay.
Let's bring the game back.
Okay, yeah. So again, like, to me, Triple H, obviously, we can do like a whole list. We could talk, like, a separate video could be like our favorite wrestlers of all time, right? Triple H definitely in that top 10 list for me, easily. He's always been like a final boss since I've been watching wrestling, and Styles nowadays, since I got back into wrestling, Styles has been one of those guys that I just watch every single time. He can never put on a bad match, in my opinion. He's on that level. I still need to watch his like other stuff, New Japan Impact, stuff like that. So those two in the ring, even with Triple H being a little bit older, again. But to me, there's a difference between having Triple H in a matchup with older people. I think it was Crown Jewel. I hate to bring this up. I'm actually like,
oh, you mean like, DX versus Brothers of Destruction?
They brought back Shawn Michaels from retirement to do that match,
and the Undertaker.
Undertaker and Kane. Kane's mask fell off. Triple H tore his triceps or something in the arm. it was just so bad. Oh my god, it was so bad. But there's a difference with having an old guy and an old guy in a ring. Goldberg, Undertaker's another one. With having an older guy who still can go, but also like a guy that's still in his prime. And even though AJ Styles is like 40, 41 years old, the guy is can go 100%, no question. So I would not mind that match at all. We'll see how they set it up. But thoughts on the match, JP, and even the thoughts of AJ Styles Triple H WrestleMania match.
The match was brief. It was a quick little sprint of a match. It had some nice callbacks to the rope bounce into the Styles Clash because Ricochet Hurricane Rana out of the rope bounce. It still sets up almost to look like a big, strong, like monster that AJ Styles has with him. But I am really excited at the thought of Triple H and AJ Styles at WrestleMania because one thing that Triple H does really well now is tells a story. He's always been really good at telling stories with matches, and I think he can tell a great story with AJ Styles. Now Triple H might have lost a step in the ring, but you can make up for that by having one of the best wrestlers in the world in the ring there with him. So I'm excited at it as long as they give it enough time to like build up the story. I don't want it to be like thrown together. It's like, hey, one night only, AJ Styles, Triple H, have at it. Maybe if it was like 2004 or like 2002, when like athletic peak, not even athletic peak, but like AJ Styles against athletic peak Triple H, then yeah, you can just say, throw these two guys together. But I feel like there's a story that needs to be told here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they could do it, it could just be like, Styles wants to face him. I don't know. They could do something there. And again, I think that, the reason why I thought that Undertaker and Styles at the time could have been really good was because of Styles. Again, when you have that younger guy in there, or the guy that's still in his kind of prime, helping out the older guy, it can work very well. We've seen it time and time again, and I think that Styles, it's not like Triple H can't go in the ring. It's not like he can't anymore. He can still do it, obviously part time, right? And he's lost a step, but no worries because when you have a guy like Styles in the ring, those guys could put on an insane match. So I would not mind it. They have time, they have a couple months. They could do something with it. Let's see if they do something. I feel like Styles is going to be at WrestleMania in some sort of capacity. He has to be. So, because he's going to put on a stellar match either way at WrestleMania. So hopefully he does that. We'll see. We move on. Before we get to the main event, I want to talk about what happened here. We get the continuation of Randy Orton and his feud with the Fiend and Alexa Bliss. Interesting stuff that happened here today. So, the Randy Orton cuts a promo. By the way, get your crosses out, get your Bibles out, just before I talk about this. um, but he takes a promo about losing at the Elimination Chamber. How he got that quick roll up by Kofi Kingston, which eliminated him the first thing of the match, and he said, "I've been distracted, not by the Fiend though. I set his ass on fire, and I'll do it again if people ask me to, But I think it's Alexa Bliss that's doing this, you know." And it comes to a moment where, like, he's kind of leading up to a little bit of a cutaway of a kind of a recap of what Alexa Bliss did before. She did like that satanic circle, saying that the Fiend's gonna be reborn. But before he kind of did that, he was coughing a little bit. He's like, and then I thought that was actually like like him trying to clear his throat to do the promo. At
I
first,
did too. I was like, okay, he's just trying to clear his throat. I don't see a problem with this.
yeah, but yeah, I'm just like, okay. And then he did that, and then afterwards he kept coughing, and I'm like, oh no. And then he started to cough out that black goo. I called it blood because the black blood. That's like a thing in horror movies, so I thought that was what it was. But I'll just call it like black. It's a black substance that's coming out of his mouth. It's slimy. It's the goo thing that Alexa Bliss did before, and he's like convulsing. And then the best part is that afterwards, the commentator's like, "Man, that's terrible." Moving on to the main event. It's like, oh my god, it's
How
like
are
this
you
guy's
supposed to
dying.
get away from that? How are you supposed to transition from that? It's like, yeah, one of our wrestlers might be dying because he's coughing up Pennzoil motor oil, but here's the main event. There's no way to transition to that. But it was so weird because, like you said, I was like, yeah, he's just coughing. I don't see a problem with it. He starts coughing a little bit more. I'm like, okay, this might be a little serious. And then he coughs up the black blood, and I'm just like, what? I think I put on Twitter, like, what is going on? Like, I'm so confused by this. Where was Alexa Bliss? Did she like curse him? Is she like voodoo doll, like poke him? And like now he's coughing up motor oil? I I'm intrigued, but also like terrified.
Oh, that was terrifying. I was watching with my dad, and he's kind of invested in that feud. He was like, "What did I do? What did I just watch?"
What
I mean, I was doing the same thing, man. I was just like, "Man, this is crazy." Again, I feel like this story, this feud, which I'm really enjoying. I think it's one of the best parts of Raw, easily. It's like I feel like you have to like suspend some disbelief. I know with wrestling you always have to do that, but I feel like this time around you see a guy that's getting like cursed, coughing up black blood. I wonder how if I show this to a person who doesn't know professional wrestling, they're like, "What am I watching?" You know?
I just hope that they don't go the way of a traditional wrestling match with this at WrestleMania. Because I think that would ruin it. Because, like you said, suspending disbelief for a match between Randy Orton and a person who supposedly come back from the dead and is also like a satanic creature. You can't really. You can only suspend disbelief. Like you can only suspend disbelief to an extent, to a certain point. I think they go the way of the John Cena match they had in the Firefly Funhouse. I think that's the way they should go. Not necessarily carbon copy, but have them in the Funhouse, uh, getting screwed up by the Fiend. Maybe have like a callback to "Burning My Light" and like have the little the fireworks come down. They could do that. They could do a callback to like him going AWOL on the Marines or something. But I think there's a whole lot of creativity where you can go with this. You just can't do a traditional wrestling match, or else you're gonna lose a lot of people.
Yeah, I feel like they're not going to go that route. I think they're going to do the whole Firefly Funhouse thing. Maybe that could be like a yearly thing that happens with the Fiend. He does like the Firefly Funhouse every year. He just did it with John Cena, which is great. I thought that was an awesome little cinematic thing they had there. And then obviously they could do that with Randy Orton. I could see that. They should do the same thing with John Cena, man. Just go back to when Randy Orton had the weird hair. He had like a little bit of bangs, the blue shorts. His theme song was the most generic thing I've ever heard. And then you can go to the Burn of My Light Evolution stuff, which by the way, Burn of My Light better than Voices. Don't at me. Absolutely it is. But again, you could do so much with this. You can go back to 2009 ball then instead of Triple H bashing down the house. It's the Fiend. Imagine that.
Oh
Book
my
it.
god!
Book it right now. Book it right now. Instead of Triple H, it's the Fiend.
And it's perfect because you don't have to go to like be around a lot of people for this. You can just go to like a random house in like Tampa and just wham, knock down somebody's door and be like, "Yeah, ding dong, hello, the Fiend is here. He's gonna try and kill Randy Orton with a pickaxe."
Okay, now I'm sorry. Now I want that. I
I'm
want them to
now
go
invested
back.
in this. I'm
Yeah.
invested in a Firefly Funhouse match between the Fiend and Randy Orton, where the Fiend knocks down a house with a pickaxe, like in Minecraft.
Yeah. Like in Minecraft. Yeah. No, again, I would book it right now. But again, we'll see how these kind of we'll see how they set up because again, I feel like they're not gonna have a match at Fastlane. I feel like they're gonna set up for at WrestleMania. They have to. So we'll see where that leads to. We go on to the main event. And it's obviously Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley. And briefly, you actually said that you expected Braun to be in the match next week. Why is that?
I I just felt with the way their Raw booking is like, yeah, they're gonna try and shoehorn Braun Strowman into this because they couldn't get him into the Elimination Chamber match. I felt like it was gonna be a perfect way for Bobby to win the title without ever actually having to take the heat off of Miz. Because it's easy to pin Braun Strowman and win the title and have everybody else benefit.
Right.
So
Nah, I can see that. I always just think to myself, like, I just, with the way they're building up Bobby Lashley again, pretty much having the work of his career, I would feel, especially with the Hurt Business and stuff. He's been doing amazing. He's been a monster. I have seen no way of Braun Strowman pinning him. That's exactly what happened. This match didn't really last that long. It started off more back and forth, but then it just ended up with Bobby Lashley actually tearing the house down. It comes to a moment where Braun Strowman actually dumps Lashley over the top rope. He tries to run him over. And Lashley, I feel like jumps onto the apron, and then Braun Strowman hits the steps. And then Bobby Lashley hit a low kick to the knee, followed by a flatliner, and then Strowman hits that power slam, and I thought it was over. Like, he kicks out. He kicks out of the power slam, which I feel like not a lot of people do at all. So he kicks out of the power slam. He tries to do it again, but Lashley kicks out. He gets out of there. He spears Strowman for the 1, 2, 3. And the Miz is on commentary during this time, and he tries to get Lashley from behind. Too late. He misses. Bobby Lashley hits him with a spear. He gets the Miz's title. He raises it up, and that's the end of Running at Raw. We're gonna have Bobby Lashley versus the Miz next week, or excuse me, tomorrow, for the WWE Championship. JP, who's gonna win? First of all, quick brief thoughts on Strowman versus Lashley. The ending. Who's gonna win next week? Is gonna be interference. Yada yada yada.
The match between Strowman and Lashley was like a good car accident. I don't know why. Oh, I'm gonna regret that later. But it just felt like two massive objects crashing into each other for 4 minutes. And it's what you expect from Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman. It made Bobby Lashley look really, really strong. And, Braun Strowman is still Braun Strowman. He's going to do what Braun Strowman wants because he's Braun Strowman. But as far as the match goes next week, I kind of have the feeling that there's going to be shenanigans involved. Because I don't think the title gets defended at Fastlane. I don't expect it to. Well, I think I do expect the title to be defended at Fastlane. I just don't think Bobby Lashley will be defending the title. I kind of feel like there's going to be some shenanigans involved, maybe returning Drew McIntyre, but I don't see any way where The Miz wins clean. I don't see where Bobby wins immediately. So I think The Miz wins dirty, either by heel tactics or somebody interferes in the match. But I do expect for The Miz to retain.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. It won't be clean. I think Drew McIntyre will get involved some sort of way. In this, oh boy, I definitely think he'll be involved some way. For Drew McIntyre, and again, they teased on SmackDown that not only will they have that championship match, but Drew McIntyre will address what happened in the Elimination Chamber. So that's Monday Night Raw, a good show, like we both said before. Not bad. And it has its lows like Raw does, but I feel like it had a little bit more highs this time around. But we move on to NXT, packed show here. Awesome show as well. We start off with Johnny Gargano versus Dexter Loomis, and Dexter Loomis again. He kidnapped Austin Theory. He's brought him back. Austin Theory, and we'll actually talk about it a little bit. So Johnny Gargano and Dexter Loomis have a really solid match between the two. But again, at the end is where we want to talk about here. But these two have a really solid match. They kind of go back and forth. And I was tweeting this out that I feel like, again, like Dexter Loomis's moveset and skill set is so unique just because he really has an old fashioned type of style. The Luthez presses. And again, like, and I was talking about it on Twitter as well, kind of like the Stone Cold kind of skill set there. But he also adapts to the modern style that is like a Johnny Gargano. So I think you can make a lot of good matches with Dexter Loomis, and if they ever push him for an NXT North American title reign, which maybe it seems like they are, we can see what happens there. But they still have a really good match at the end. Theory, Gargano tells Theory to get a chair so he can hit Loomis with it, so he can get a win there. And he has the opportunity. He has a steel chair. He's about to hit Loomis with it, but he hesitates. He's like, I don't know about this, and he hesitates. And then Gargano's like, what are you doing? But then Loomis pushes Gargano into Theory and then puts him in the chokehold for the win. And that's it. I mean, Gargano taps out to Dexter Loomis. JP, brief thoughts on this match?
I love the Dexter Loomis character. I think it's so great what they're doing with him. It's kind of like Where's Waldo, but instead of like finding Waldo, it's like, okay, cool. You find Waldo and you get choked out. So I really enjoy what they're doing with Dexter Loomis. Like you said, he's got a very kind of throwback kind of style, but it meshes so well with the other wrestlers in NXT. I don't know how he does it, but it just works really well. Johnny Gargano, one of the tops in the game. I'm really enjoying the way. At first I was out on it, but the comedy stuff that they're doing is top tier. I mean, the whole backstage segment with Indy Hartwell saying that she thought Dexter Loomis was kind of hot. Johnny Gargano sending Austin Theory to therapy. It's just funny. I enjoyed it. It was a really solid match, and it firmly puts Dexter Loomis back into the NXT North American title discussion as the number one contender. I do think he's going to win it off of Johnny Gargano, though. I think if there's anybody who's going to lose it to, it's probably going to be Loomis.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, again, like I was going to talk about a little later as they're kind of leaving, and throughout the match, also, Indy Hartwell looks pretty infatuated with Dexter Loomis. They leave this is a little bit later in the show. The way leave, and then Mackenzie comes back. That backstage reporter interviews him, and Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae are like, we gotta situate ourselves. We need a game plan here. And then he says, "Okay, Theory, Austin, why didn't you hit him with a chair?" And then he says, "I don't know. I think Loomis is kind of misunderstood. He's not a bad guy." And then that's when Gargano says, "Okay, listen, no. You're going to therapy. This is where we have to fix this." And then the whole thing happens with Indy Hartwell, and Candice LeRae is like, "Well, why weren't you doing it? You just look, you're frozen." And then Indy Hartwell says, if anybody's seen Man of Steel, Superman movie, it's kind of like the line at the end where like that woman army general, she just like he's kind of hot. She kind of says the same thing, like I think he's kind of hot. And then Candice LeRae's face is like, okay, no, and then they just leave. So obviously Dexter Loomis has gone into the minds of the younglings of the way. So that's yeah, I'm enjoying the whole way stuff, the Dexter Loomis stuff, and I think that if you gave Dexter Loomis and Johnny Gargano time like you did with Kushida and Gargano at Takeover Vengeance Day, I don't know if you get a as good or better of a match than that, but you get a pretty damn good match. And seeing Loomis with the title, I wouldn't mind it. However, I think that Loomis is one of those characters that he doesn't need a title to be really successful and to be really entertaining. I wouldn't mind it either way anyway. So we move on from that. We get to actually, I feel like this happened later in the night, but the Bleacher Report kind of recap has this right now. But see, never mind. Screw your Bleacher Report. The recap is wrong. So the next match afterwards, because they say Zoe Stark and Io Shirai, but then they talk about Leon Ruff and Tyler Rust. We'll talk about Leon Ruff and Tyler Rust right now. Malcolm Bivens again. There is this amazing tweet where it was like I think it's like a scene from The Simpsons maybe, where it's the guy in the dark coat kind of just being really like shady, that he just kind of watching everything, and he's like, this is Malcolm Bivens when it comes to wrestlers, and I want to challenge Tyler Rust, and he's like, agreed. So he did the same thing to Leon Ruff that he did to Kushida the prior week, and he says, listen, I have a perfect opponent for you, Tyler Rust, and they have a match, and again, this was a pretty good match between these two guys. But obviously,
have a match? I don't even think the match got started. Leon Ruff and Tyler Rust.
Well, I was gonna say that the match was about to start, and I think it was Leon Ruff doing. I forgot that part of the entrance he does on the ropes. He does like a upside down thing or whatever. And obviously who comes out? It's Isaiah Scott. He comes out. He beats him up, and again, this happened obviously because the prior week we saw we saw those two kind of a match and stuff like that, and they had a pretty awesome match too. That was one of my match of the nights. I think in the prior week, if you check out our last episode and stuff like that, it really had an awesome, high flying, fast paced match between the two. After the match, Leon Ruff got a kind of a quick win, and then obviously Swerve Scott was about to shake his hand. He beat him up. Same thing happened here. So again, the match never starts, and I think there comes a point where Malcolm Bivens actually like raises Tyler Rust's hand because he's the winner. I mean, again, it sucks because I wanted to see Tyler Rust versus Swerve Scott. That's like a matchup I don't think we've seen in a while at least. So doesn't happen. Whatever. Hopefully we see that match next week. We'll see. But this time we get to Shirai and Stark, and Zoe Stark just absolutely squashed Valentina Feroz the week prior. She had that awesome finisher that we were kind of raving about, that kind of variation of the GTS. It looked really cool. These two have an awesome match, and I think this honestly would maybe compete for match of the night, I feel. And making Stark look absolutely strong in this match against, again, Io Shirai, who's been on a hot trail. But it comes to a point at the end of the match where Shirai does pick up the win after Stark kicks out of a lot of the vintage moves from Shirai, and again, making her look very strong. Surprised we didn't see no Tony Storm in this match, but again, when Shirai picks up the win, I think they shake hands, Stark and Shirai, but who comes out as Tony? It's Tony Storm, and she's on the mic, and she basically says like, "Listen, you'll challenge Stark, but you won't challenge me because you know that you're scared of me. Especially after that beating last week. You can't touch me, whatever." Um, but then it comes to the point we get an announcement in 2 weeks. We're seeing those two for the NXT Women's Title. Maybe see Tony Storm win it. Don't know. We'll come to that bridge when we cross it. But brief thoughts on that match between Stark and Shirai, and the thought of Storm versus Shirai for the title in 2 weeks.
This was a very fun match. I enjoyed it because you did two things really well. You built up Io Shirai as a champion who can take a lot of hits. You also built up Zoe Stark as a formidable contender, and it was a fire match. Like, this is what you should be doing to build up new people and to keep the championship on your stronger title holders. I'm excited for Tony Storm versus Io Shirai in a couple of weeks. I'm excited to see them go one-on-one. It's been a while since they've done that. I think since the not the first Mae Young Classic, but the second Mae Young Classic. It's been a long time since then. So I'm excited to see them go one-on-one for the first time since then. I do think Io Shirai wins though.
Yeah, I can see that happen. Again, it should be a great match. Probably will main event that night if I have to guess. Depends on the other matches. But it should be a good one as well. But we move on. Xia Li versus Casey Canzero. I was about to say my nickname for her, but I'm like, whatever. I don't care anymore. But they have a match again. Those two are friends. They've been setting up the past couple weeks about Caden Carter and Casey Canzero telling Xia Li and like this mysterious figure and Boa, like, she's our friend. She used to be our friend and stuff like that. So Casey Canzero eventually, and then last week, Xia Li put like 2 black marks on her hand and says like, I'm gonna purge you. I'm gonna purge you. She said. I mean, who says that? If you say that, then I'm running away from you. So
I'm calling the cops.
I'm calling the cops. And Casey Canzero. So they have a match. Xia Li tries to attack her beforehand. Surprisingly, not a squash match. These two actually go back and forth for quite a bit. However, Canzero does make a comeback at one point. She goes outside of the ring. But Lee just drives her to that chain link wall. She stomps on her leg and drags her back in the ring by her hair. But it came to a point where she just beat her up too much that the ref just called it. She didn't. So there really wasn't a win, I guess. I mean, she just kind of like there was no contest.
I guess they call it the ref won by technical knockout. I guess using terms, because if the fighter is not able to continue, then you did win.
Okay, yeah. So I thought it was outside of the ring that he called it, but it was inside the ring. So yeah, I guess so. She can't continue. She beat her up really badly. Yeah, and that's it. So I mean, thoughts on this match? I mean, it was, again, we're seeing Xia Li just be this destructive force like we've seen before, which is great. At the expense of Casey Canzero, which, I mean, I don't know. Go back to American Ninja Warrior. I don't know.
Xia Li said Casey Canzero is going to stay in the house one way or the other. And she stomped the mess out of her knee. Bro, I thought she broke it. I thought she broke it when she had it lined up on the steel steps, and then she just stomped right on the side of her knee. I was like, I cringed when I saw that. So I'm like, oh, like, how you get people have those injuries or something where like they get injured somewhere and then like you reach to that part where they got injured and you feel it. I felt that. Xia Li is immediately one of the most imposing and intimidating women in NXT just because of the whole aura, I want to see what she does against higher quality competition because I think she can do it in ring, but I want to see her do it against somebody like really good. Not to say Casey Canzero isn't really good, but I'd like to see Xia Li face like, a Mercedes Martinez or somebody like that that's higher up on the card. But this served its purpose, made Xia Li look dominant. And again, man, I can't wait to see where this goes.
Yeah, and again, I don't mind seeing Xia Li keep squashing opponents like she is doing. But I definitely on the same side with you. I'm hoping she gets like one of those opponents that like she actually puts on a really good match. And again, we might see who this mysterious figure is. I know there's a name for him already. But we still want to know more about like what's going on behind the scenes with that as well. So we move on to the next match. It's Grizzled Young Veterans versus Killian Drake and Drake Maverick. Grizzled Young Veterans, they lost to MSK in the Dusty Cup Finals earlier in the show. MSK does a backstage interview where they talk about their win, talk about their match next week versus Grizzled Young Veterans. Who comes out? Grizzled Young Veterans. They attack them, and in the beginning of this match, they come to the ring and they announced that Wes Lee has a broken hand because they caused it. Those assholes. We want to see that match next week. How dare you? I don't know if he actually broke. He probably didn't break his hand, but you know what I mean. So, it seems like they didn't announce it, but they said that Grizzly Veterans got a fine, whatever. It seems like we're not going to get that match next week, if I would have to guess, because Wesley has a broken hand. I mean, unless he can heal it by then, which I mean, I don't know if he can. In their terms,
cast on your hand, like a big club.
They could, and that could probably be like a storyline there. They hamper on the hand there. I don't know. After a week, he comes back.
It can be used as a weapon. You know those giant clubs that football players wear on their hands when they break.
Right.
It can be used as a weapon. Like imagine getting hit with that thing.
I was thinking of like the gloves that baseball players wear when they want to steal the base. Those big mittens. So maybe they could probably use that. But they have a match against Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. And I just love, by the way, I just love Killian Drake. I love Killian Dane and Drake Maverick's theme so much. It starts off really rocky, then it turns a little happy, little go lucky theme song. And Drake Maverick comes out and he's like, it's great. They have a match, and not a quick match, but pretty brief. It ends up obviously with Gibson and Drake hitting their finisher and pinning Maverick for the win. Maverick looks very defeated. Killian Drake drags him to the back. We cut to backstage, and he's like bringing him to like the medical room, whatever. And he just looks like Maverick just looks like a baby in his arms, like he's just like it's like carrying him. Who comes out? Actually, we see Imperium walk by. I don't know if I think I saw 3, so I don't think Walter was there, but we see Alexander Wolf talk to him, and he says like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? What are you doing here? This is not you. You can do so much more than this. And obviously after he leaves, Killian Drake is like thinking about it a little bit, but then he goes back to helping Drake Maverick. So let me ask you a question, okay? Because I was now watching NXT. Were they in a tag team? Was that Sanity group or no?
That was Sanity. Alexander Wolf and Killian Dane were both in Sanity. Then they broke up. Alexander Wolf went to Imperium, and Killian Dane is where he is now.
Okay. So brief thoughts on the match, and then what did you think about the whole interaction at the end there?
It's not a barn burner of a match, but it wasn't like a terrible match. It was okay. The right team won. I do think they're going to set up for a Killian Dane and Drake Maverick breakup eventually. And I don't know, selfishly, I'd like to see Killian Dane and Imperium. Make that faction even stronger, because they were saying that they needed their final member to be complete. I don't know if Walter's going to be coming to NXT anytime soon. He could, but adding Killian Dane to Imperium with Eichner, Marcel Bartel, Alexander Wolf, and Walter, add Killian Dane to that, that's immediately the most dominant faction in NXT. That might be the most dominant faction in the WWE.
In wrestling. I don't know. That sounds crazy.
That's insane. But I do think they're headed that way, because I don't know how much else Killian Dane and Drake Maverick can do.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they've been just kind of losing to people now. I feel like it's time to, they're reaching their final stages, it seems like. So, yeah, I pretty much agree. And same thing, not a terrible match. I mean, you wanted to kind of get Grizzly Young Veterans back on track there with a win, and it was good. So, I mean, and they can never really have a bad match. But we move on to the main event of the main event match. It's Santos Escobar versus Karrion Kross in a no disqualification match. Just a spoiler, this match was fun and entertaining as hell, but we'll talk about it. Obviously, it took a while for Santos Escobar to come to the ring. Obviously, if he didn't wrestle tonight, he would have to strip his title and would be suspended, as William Regal said. So, his car pulls up, the van pulls up with the rest of Legado del Fantasma. Karrion Kross just comes out. We hear his music. However, he doesn't do his entrance. He goes straight to the van and he attacks the members of Legado del Fantasma. But Escobar comes out and starts to ambush him, and all three are attacking him. It comes to a point where they're near a production truck, and Escobar shuts the back of the door on Cross's shoulders. Really bad, brutal spot there. Um, and then again, they come to a point where they go to the front of the truck and they throw him to the door and stuff like that. So they actually get Karrion Kross off his feet there. They get Karrion Kross, they drag him to the ring, and as Escobar is getting inside of the ring, Kross, gets out of it and gets the two guys. And he throws them through the plexiglass. The plexiglass just it breaks, he goes over. Awesome. Such an awesome spot there. Um, and then we get in the ring. They're fighting, and again, Santos Escobar, even without Wilder Mendoza there, they're going back and forth. He gets a chair. He hits him in the chair a couple times in his arm. That's now that's the focus. We see, and Scarlett, it seems like it comes to the point where like Scarlett, every time he gets hit with a chair, she likes to get hits as well. It's like she's like taking also the hits as well, which is kind of an interesting thing there. But we see that he counts the we see the Three Amigos by Escobar, but Karrion Kross actually counters that, and then we get to a moment where we get to the outside here, and we see finally Kross kind of getting back. All the members are fantastic trying to get to him, but we see he grabs one, he throws one to the plexiglass, he grabs another one, and he's fighting them all off. And then he gets and then he goes to the round to the commentator's desk with Escobar, and oh man, what is that name of that move? It's just like a back scoop.
Doomsday Saito.
Yeah, he does that on the commentator desk, which is an amazing spot.
The table explodes.
It explodes. And I think the way he does it, like goes on like on the railing to get Escobar in the motion to do it. He does the same move again in the ring, and then he does that that forearm smash right to the back of the head that he did to Priest at New Year's Evil, which just knocks him out. 1, 2, 3, the match is over. JP, what did you think of this?
This was so much fun. It lived up to the hype that I put on it and more. I think both people benefited from this. There was kind of talk sort of like Santos Escobar really doesn't benefit from losing. He doesn't benefit from winning. But I think he benefited a lot in this loss. I think Legado benefited a lot from this loss because they show that they can be formidable not only as a faction, but Escobar can be formidable as on his own right because he stood up to Karrion Kross. He had him on the ropes. There were moments there where Scarlett Bordeaux looked like she was genuinely concerned. But Karrion Kross is a monster. That spot where he threw both other members of Legado through the plexiglass and like Santos Escobar just staring at Karrion Kross and Karrion Kross staring back at him. Perfect. This match was amazing. This is kind of an underrated thing for me, but I enjoy in street fights when wrestlers don't show up in their wrestling gear. It's a street fight. Santos Escobar, Karrion Kross did that. That's personally a thing that I enjoy. But overall, it was so fun. I loved it.
Yeah, I have to agree. It was definitely worthy of the hype that we were waiting for the past couple weeks. Seems like we're done with this now. We'll see what Karrion Kross kind of leads to a little bit later. But Karrion Kross is great. That Doomsday Saito to the announcer table, and then at the end, and then that back forearm smash. It was just perfect. And then we move on to the last thing of the show.
Before we go to the main event, we forgot about the Cameron Grimes stuff.
Oh yeah, so
you gotta talk about Big Money Grimes, man.
Oh boy, so Cameron Grimes, we know he's rich. He made money off of GameStop and Dogecoin. He was challenging people backstage. He saw a clip of Ted DiBiase of telling people, "You dribble a basketball this many times, I give you $1,000 each." But I don't think Cameron Grimes really caught the gist of it. He let the first person dribble it 10 times. And he coughed up $10,000 right there, and he's like, "What am I doing wrong here?" And then I think one of the guys that he gets, he's like, "You're supposed to kick the ball, dumbass. That's the point. You're not supposed to let him dribble it." He challenges a really tall woman to do it, and she does it pretty easily. He tries to kind of get it from her, but she like dribbles it and like breaks his ankles. That's like awesome. And then later in the day, he's so defeated. He's so defeated as we get to the main event. With Kross and Escobar, and he says, Can you dribble a basketball?" And the guy's like, Yeah, I guess. He's like, then dribble it. I'll give you $1,000 each. And he dribbles it and he just beats him beats him up. And then he drops the money on the floor anyways. So he loses more money. And then
The greatest thing ever.
yeah, and then he just leaves. And then even on Twitter he says, I left the money on the floor, but whatever, I can make more. Okay. I think it's hilarious what's going on here, by the way.
He said Ted DiBiase can kiss my grits. This is perfect. This is the exact amount of comedy that you want from this kind of character. This is how I imagine Beverly Hillbillies in like 2021. It is amazing. Cameron Grimes is knocking this out of the park. And you kind of had you needed to go somewhere with this, with Cameron Grimes making all this money. And this is perfect. I mean, I'm enjoying it every single time. Like, I wish that they'd have like their own little separate show, like on the WWE Network. What is Cameron Grimes doing with all this money? Just like a little short, like following around Cameron Grimes as he like spends money at like the mall or something, or like he gets involved in like a pyramid scheme or something. That'd be hilarious.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I want to see where this leads to when it comes to in-ring work, but so far, then they're really getting me. I think it's great. I think it's hilarious to see it. Cameron Grimes has always been funny, even before the whole money thing. So, it'll be interesting to see where this goes to. But not so funny now when we get to the last segment of the show. Adam Cole said he's going to explain his actions and what he has done to Kyle O'Reilly and just to the Undisputed Era the past couple weeks. Comes out to the ring and he sees the Titantron as it's playing what he did to Kyle O'Reilly. And he gets on the mic and he says, listen, Kyle, I know you're watching this from home. That what I just saw makes me sick to my stomach watching that. And he explains his actions. He says, he's made a stupid mistake and he hates himself for it. He apologizes and he says, I know you probably hate me right now, but listen, we're brothers, we're part of this group. I feel so stupid for what I did. And everybody knows that the NXT title is important to me, but you're more important, stuff like that. Roderick Strong comes out and he basically says, like, Cole, he says, Adam, why? I don't know why you're doing this. We're a group. The Undisputed Era means trust. It means brotherhood, and you just destroyed all of that. And Adam Cole says, Roddy, I know, but like, he says, but that's why you have to forgive me. I know the essence of the Undisputed Era. You have to forgive me here. And then, and he says that Cole should feel bad for what he did because he changed the group forever. Some things can never be fixed, stuff like that. Who comes out? It's Finn Balor, the NXT champion. No talking. He shoves Roderick Strong out of the way, which is hilarious, by the way. He got his face and just shoved it, went to the ring and him and Cole start going at it with each other. Too sweet. They go outside and they're fighting at the outside there as well. And who comes out? It's Strong, who tries to break him up. When Balor then starts getting back at Roddy, and then Cole nails, pushes Balor into the plexiglass and then super kicks him. And then Strong is in the ring. Cole goes back in the ring to check on Roddy, and Roger Strong clotheslines Cole. And then Cole's on the ground. He apologizes again. He says and Roddy's just like, what is happening? He's so confused. The acting is amazing in this. And then Cole is just like, I want things to go back to what they were, man. And he starts breaking down crying in the middle of the ring. Roman Reigns-esque, which you know what it's about to lead to. He breaks down crying. Strong goes down to his knees to get to his level, and he says, you're my brother. I love you. And then it was just, it's just amazing. And then like Cole says, yeah, you're my brother too. I love you too, man. And then they hug. And it's funny because the fans that are in attendance are like, yeah. Like they don't know what's about to happen. They start to hug. Roger Strong gets back. He gets back up and they look at each other, and then Adam Cole low blows him. And that is the low blow heard around the world, heard around the wrestling world. Have I ever seen a low blow hit so hard and so meaningful. It was that. He gets down on it and he says, Roddy, you're so stupid. And he gets the dog tags, which is funny because the dog tags, the UE dog tags that Strong had, he was kind of like holding them as he was telling him before earlier in the promo. He rips them out and says, you mean nothing to me, and throws it on the ground and then just super kicks him straight in the face. And that's the end of the show. So here's my thoughts on this, right? I put this on Twitter on the LNSL account. Again, follow it at Yell_Cell. Perfect segment. And no one can convince me otherwise. Again, this hit all the beats it needed to hit. And I remember during it was happening and they were hugging, I was saying, oh my God, if he low blows him, that would be just the perfect thing to do right here. If he does it, he does it. If he rips the dog tags, I was saying that would be amazing. He does it. It was just it hit all the right notes. And again, the best part about this was the performances. When you think about wrestling, sometimes people are very wooden, people are this and that, whatever. Especially Cole and Strong here, because obviously Balor was just there to kind of like be the catalyst or whatever. Cole and Strong were perfect. It was heartbreaking to watch. Heartbreaking to watch. JP, what did you think of the segment?
They need to teach this segment in film appreciation, in art appreciation. That's what it was. It was art, man. Because you had a feeling you knew it was going to happen, but you still weren't ready. I watched this segment because NXT kind of went off like 10 minutes after 10. So I watched this whole segment after the main event at AEW. And I'm like, oh man, like Adam Cole breaking down and crying. Like I was like, oh God.
It was so good.
It's amazing. And then Roddy going down and saying, you're my brother, man. I love you. I watched it back again. I recorded and watched it back again. I still wasn't ready. The one thing I really enjoyed actually was Finn Balor, because it still drives home the fact that nobody can trust anybody at the top of that NXT main event scene. You can't trust anyone. You know, you have the Undisputed Era imploding. Finn Balor couldn't even trust anybody in the first place. He's always said he's had the target on his back. So now he's got so many people coming for that title. Not to mention, there's still a giant Karrion Kross lurking in the distance.
Right.
So this still creates more intrigue around the NXT title, but you got to focus solely on the Undisputed Era because, man, that performance in that whole segment was top tier. And it still certifies my point that Bobby Fish is the most important member of the Undisputed Era. I bet he's just like sitting at home and just like, what is going on, man?
I know.
Like, I like to imagine it's like when a dad like leaves the kids at home for like 5 minutes and he comes back home and like the house is literally upside down. I was for 5 minutes and Kyle's in the hospital. You low blowed Roderick. Adam, what are you doing?
What are you doing, Adam? Yeah, no, and also again, it just reminds me of that gif with Donald Glover in Community where he comes home to like pizza and then the whole room is on fire. Yeah. Again, it's interesting. I'm excited to see where this goes. And again, you have to think also where Kyle O'Reilly fits into this. I mean, could we see a Kyle O'Reilly Adam Cole thing happening? And
their eventual feud is going to be a bloodbath.
It's going to be so good.
But it's going to be interesting to see what Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish do because they're kind of caught in the crosshairs of all this.
Right. I don't know what can happen, but
I didn't really think that they would break up the Undisputed Era right now, you know. I thought they were going to still be a faction, a kind of tag team, going all the way up to Raw and SmackDown. But, you know, I guess I still kind of want them to continue to be a faction, but I kind of have the feeling they're not going to go to the main roster anytime soon. So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting that they're breaking up the Undisputed Era now because of the lack of tag teams, especially on Raw and SmackDown. But it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this.
Yeah, you know, that was the one thing I was actually thinking about the other day. So it's good that you brought it up. It's like, you know, I was expecting if Adam Cole or just whoever was going to make their main roster appearance, it would be with the Undisputed Era. I could see the Undisputed Era having the same impact on the main roster they had in NXT. But, I mean, after this, I don't know how they can come back and just, you know, reconcile. But even though I still think that those guys can have great main roster careers, especially Cole. But the possibilities are now endless with NXT. And I was thinking, and a lot of people were thinking, like, 2021 could be the year where these guys go to the main roster. But now it's like the possibilities are so endless right now that like they need to stay in NXT. They're gonna run it for this next year. It's gonna be so amazing what they do, especially in the lead up to WrestleMania. Because like WrestleMania, I'm hoping this is still the plans that they have an NXT title match there. And imagine that, whatever that could be, whether it be they just go like, Finn Balor versus Adam Cole, or they add Kyle O'Reilly, they add Karrion Kross into there. Who knows, man?
I'm kind of thinking that they're gonna do Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross.
Which actually, that makes sense. And here's why I think that. I feel like Finn Balor, I feel like he's not going to be in part of this UE thing. I feel like the UE is going to focus on themselves. So I could see that happening where it could just be Finn Balor and Karrion Kross, which I wouldn't mind, by the way. Seeing those two guys having an entrance to WrestleMania would be amazing. But again, Adam Cole is on the prowl for the NXT title. So I'm not sure where that's going to lead.
I feel like if they do Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly, it needs to main event a takeover.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
Having them, like, kind of throwing them in the match with Finn Balor for the NXT title, I feel like it would kind of dampen down their feud.
Right.
Because you can't have either of them pinned. But you also can't have Karrion Kross eat a pin.
Yeah. Who knows, right? I mean,
push themselves into a corner here a little bit. But there's some wiggle room because I think Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor is the match to make for NXT at WrestleMania. They save Kyle O'Reilly for Adam Cole for the next TakeOver main event.
I completely agree. Whatever it may be, any of those matches, any of those dream matches just sound really good. So I mean, we really don't lose either way. But again, another amazing episode of NXT. Again, that ending I've been watching on repeat. It's just been so good. Again, Adam Cole, such a bastard. Adam Cole is just, Adam Cole's one of my favorite workers today, just because of the work rate, the guy's a star, and we'll obviously the anticipation of the NXT is a must watch. Obviously with the UE stuff, now the NXT title picture is so crowded, it looks great. Even a North American title picture, again, NXT right now is great. But we move on to its competitor right now in AEW Dynamite. And obviously they're building up to Revolution, which, by the way, I'm going to it. Let's go. I'm going to Revolution. It took, no. Actually, no, I shouldn't be excited. AEW, you suck, with the whole ticketing thing that happened. Okay, let me explain this real quick. Okay, I need to get something off my chest. Okay,
just shoot promo.
This is a shoot promo. But seriously though, right? So again, tickets went on sale Friday at 10 a.m. And they said, okay, if you want to get your tickets, go to AEWTix.com. No problem, bud. No problem, Tony. I'll go there right now. I go there. There is no direct link to the Ticketmaster link to buy the tickets. So a lot of people got very pissed off there. I knew that I was going to play it safe and go to Ticketmaster.com and arrive 10 minutes early like I was recommended to do. I did. I clicked on every single ticket. Out. You cannot get it. Someone took it. And it was just a terrible, terrible experience. Again, the way that they do it is just absolutely insane. But it ended up to the point where people on social media were going crazy. They were just like, Len, I can't go to Revolution now because you guys are inept. There's no direct link on that website that you're telling us to go to get the tickets. So luckily, I was just staying on Ticketmaster for like intervals of like 5 minutes, and I found some tickets that are not badly priced. They said tickets start at $40, which by the way is bullshit because it wasn't. It didn't start at $40. But I found some tickets that weren't extremely expensive, but I'm going there. So AEW, please fix it. Please, Tony, I'm begging you, please. And he's acting like, oh, I won the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, like the Jacksonville Jaguars won a Super Bowl. Fix their ticketing website. Whatever.
At least he talks about AEW more than he does the Jaguars. So
can you blame him though? Can you blame him though? AEW is at least functional. Well, listen, the Jaguars. Oh, I shouldn't say they hired a racist coach and then he resigned, but which JP is the reason why he resigned. So, yeah. Okay, so going back to AEW, and again, they're building up to Revolution on March 7th, and obviously there's a lot of implications here, and we'll get to it obviously. But the match starts out with Jon Moxley versus the Hollywood Hunk Ryan Nemeth. Obviously, we know him. You don't know who that is. That's Dolph Ziggler's brother. They have a little bit of a match here. Um, and to me, again, Jon Moxley pretty much just controls this matchup. And to me, the match was fine. Whatever. I guess you're building up Jon Moxley. It is what it is. However, the best part about the match was probably the promo right afterwards. He cuts it talking about the again him and Omega are having an exploding barbed wire death match for the title. And he says listen, all the roads they lead to me, and if I have to, uh, he he doesn't really say it, but he pretty much implies if I have to take my own life trying to fight for my thing, try to fight for this title, I will do it. But again, Moxley defeats Nemeth, obviously, and then afterwards he cuts that promo. Um, he's telling that Omega he's willing to be put out of action for good because he's addicted to fighting. Um, and again, I mean Moxley on the mic, we know him, even if he's drenched in sweat, he's tired. He's gonna give you a great promo there, and again, the build up for this match has been so good. So JP, quick thoughts on this brief match, which I mean, again, to me, it was just whatever. But that post match promo,
It was definitely more about the promo than the match. But man, Jon Moxley is so good at making you care about stuff, and he made me care about this match even more than I originally did, because it was very, and I hate to do comparisons, it's very Cactus Jackish. So where he's saying he's willing to die to get to this. And that's a very Cactus Jack kind of thing to say. So just like I said, when he's motivated and on the mic and talking about promos, just anything, just give the man the mic and let him go to work. It's always going to be magic.
yeah, and I mean, we saw this when he was in WWE as Dean Ambrose. The guy on the mic was always there's a reason why in the Shield he was always kind of like the guy you always heard, he was always on the mic speaking for them. We know about Jon Moxley. We know he's great. And again, it's funny you bring up the Mick Foley Cactus Jack kind of comparison because he really does bring that up. And I know there's been a lot of criticism for Jon Moxley. Again, just a couple of comments I just look under AEW posts where it's he's like a watered down Cactus Jack because he can't do a technical match, but he hides he hides it because of hardcore wrestling, and then he puts on a banger against Kenta for the US title. But again, we know Jon Moxley, that match against Kenny Omega at Revolution would be great, which by the way, we're going to do like we did with WWE pay-per-views. We're going to do a predictions episode for Revolution that weekend before I head over there. So be on the lookout for that as well. But that was the first part of Dynamite. We get to Team Taz versus Varsity Blondes, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks versus Brian Pillman Jr. and a guy named Griff Garrison. Who the fuck is that? I don't know.
Griff Garrison.
I don't know who the fuck that is. But they have a match, and again, last week Brian Cage power bombed the F out of Sting, who is 60 something years old, 61. And JP looking at that because this man is old. He should not be taking bumps like that. But we move on to the match. Not a bad match between these four. Again, I actually do dig the Varsity Blondes. Not just because Brian Pillman Jr.'s father is Brian Pillman, but they have a good chemistry, and especially with Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. I'm not sure if you saw that tweet that people have been talking about recently, but there was a tweet where it's Ricky Starks is really good at kind of selling the transitions and not just staying there waiting for the move. You probably saw that, which AEW, they do that a lot where it's they just kind of stand there and wait for the move. But I feel like people always talk about that when it comes to AEW, but Ricky Starks is good at kind of selling the time before the move happens. And I mean, Ricky Starks is great.
Like that separates good from great.
Exactly. I mean that, and Ricky Starks, we know he's great. But these two have a really good match. However, it ends off with Starks cutting off the momentum of a spear to Garrison, and then Cage finishes Pillman off with that lariat, that discus lariat, which again always brutal. Brian Cage is crazy. But then after the match, a vignette aired where it was Sting retrieved Allen from that body bag in a desert, which kind of extra, but whatever. It was cool to watch. And then the lights went out. Sting comes out with a body bag, but who's in it? It's Taz's son Hook. I thought it was Darby. People thought it was Darby Allin.
I swear I thought it was Darby. He pulled out Hook, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, he kidnapped the child.
He kidnapped the child. There's a lot of kidnapping going on in AEW recently. FTR kidnaps Marco Stunt.
It's Duval, man.
It's just Jacksonville, bro.
That's the best way I can describe it.
And then as soon as we see Darby Allin descend from the ring from the rafters with like a Shawn Michaels WrestleMania entrance. He comes down to the ring, and then they do it attacking. They attack, and he attacks Stark. Sting goes after Cage, and hey man, he does that Sting splash to the corner, and then he does the Scorpion Death Drop. He does all the big moves, and that's the end of the segment. They go on top, and again, they have a street fight between Darby Allin and Sting going up against I think it's going to be Ricky Starks and Brian Cage at Revolution. So JP, thoughts on the match, thoughts on the aftermath, and are you still worried about Sting in that street fight?
The match was cool. Like you said, I thought it was longer than I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed the Varsity Blondes. I thought they really showed out really well. Griff Garrison looked great. The after was my favorite part, because what Sting has done really well in AEW is built up Darby Allin and built up Team Taz. Darby Allin coming in on the zip line, it reminded me less of Shawn Michaels and more of Sting in WCW coming down from the rafters. I thought it was really cool. It was really fun. With that being said, I am still queasy about this street fight, having a 61-year-old Sting in this match. I probably assume Darby Allin's going to take most of the bumps, most of the crazy bumps, but I still just kind of cringe at the fact that Sting might be getting powerbombed onto like concrete. And again, he's 61 years old and has a history of neck and spine injuries. I'm just really unsure, man. I don't know how this is going to end up. It could be great. It could also be terrible.
Here's the thing, right? I'm going to Revolution. I really don't want to see an old man carried out on a stretcher. So that's the last thing I want to see. But you know, like I said, the match was good. I'm excited for the street fight. Obviously, it's not every day you get to see that. I got to see her Sting wrestle, you know, especially nowadays. So that's gonna be cool to watch. However, I'm kind of on the same boat. I will say that I trust AEW to the point where I think that he's gonna take some bumps. He's gonna take some street fight bumps, but I think they're gonna be very safe. You know, I don't think it's gonna be like what Matt Hardy and Guevara did, and I don't think it's gonna, God forbid it's not like that. So I think it'll be fine. Hopefully, because again, yeah, and like you said, I think that Darby Allin's going to take most of the stuff there, and I think they're going to do the same thing. They're going to do it for Tully Blanchard and that 6-man tag on next Wednesday as well. Yeah. But the thing is, though, right, is that in a 6-man tag, regular tag match, you can mask it. You know, he'll probably be in the ring with Marco Stunt. You know, he'll probably have those kind of moments. However, in a street fight against,
you can't mask a street fight because you're going to be getting hit with like trash can lids and like steel chairs. And that makes me nervous for Sting.
Yeah, it's more of the bumps. Like if you hit him with a steel chair, like in the gut, like whatever, like that you can take, that you can mask. But him, like again, like you said, if he takes that same power bomb to like a table or like on the outside, that's where you get a little nervous. Maybe they'll do a power bomb onto Peter Avalon's bed. Maybe they'll mask it like that. Maybe, who knows?
Did you see what happened when Lance Archer choke slammed Kenta on the bed?
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah, come on, it's a bed. It's a bed. Yeah, come on, it's a bed.
It's also Peter. How comfy is the bed? How plushy is the bed supposed to be? You got to be real rich to get those plushy beds. They might be like it might be like a Camp Crystal bed.
Camp Crystal bed. We'll move on to the next match. This exciting matchup, JP. Jake Hager versus Brandon Cutler. The match that everybody wants to see. I don't want to see Riho and Thunder Rosa. What? I want to see Brandon Cutler and Jake Hager. Whatever. Jake Hager wins. It's a quick match. I don't know. After the match, Um, After the match, we do see Santana, Ortiz, and Wardlow. They come to the ring. They beat down on Cutler, which I mean, obviously, in a message to Young Bucks. Matt and Nick Jackson come to the ring. They clear the heroes out, and they call out Chris Jericho and MJF, who they're going to meet at Revolution for the tag team titles. But Jericho and MJF appear on the video screen. And who do they have with them? It's Papa Buck. Oh no. And early in the show, we see the Young Bucks and the father and the mother kind of come in. They take pictures with like a Mad Nick Jackson, like what was it? It was just like a poster or something. But we go back to the Jericho and MGF video. They get Papa Buck and they beat up Papa Buck. He's bleeding. They throw him in the ring truck, and the blood smears on the son's pictures. It was so dramatic. It was maybe too dramatic because when he slammed the father at the truck, he was like his hand was smearing on the faces of his sons, the blood on it. and then Jericho and MGF, they say something, and then they're like, and she's like, okay, let's go, and they leave. And then obviously the Young Bucks check on their father, and then I think it's Nick that runs out and he tries to chase, and we see the inner circle. We see MJF and Chris Jericho in a truck, and he tries to outrun the truck, but he doesn't do it. Papa Buck is hurt. JP, thoughts on the 5-star match between Jake Hager, Brandon Cutler, and the aftermath?
Let's be honest. Nobody was here for that match.
You're right.
Nobody cared about the match. What thing happened was after the match. Boy, they gave Papa Buck all the blood. They said, I was making fun of someone on Twitter. It's like, hey, Papa Buck, how much do you want to bleed? And they said, yes, give him all the fake blood. It's smeared on his shirt, his face, on the truck, put it everywhere. I want to really ham it in. I want to really bone it in that I am about to die. It served its purpose, It makes Jericho and MJF, as much as you love MJF, it makes MJF look like a prick.
Of course.
And I guess it does build up for some excitement for the tag match at Revolution. It was kind of a traditional heel kind of thing, attacking the loved ones. You kind of had a feeling it was going to happen because they showed that Papa Buck was there again. So I was just like, there's going to be some shenanigans. But overall, good segment. Again, with AEW so far, it's been like the segments after the matches have been more important than the matches itself. But that was only for like this show, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the reason why they wanted to do Jake Hager and Brandon Cutler tonight, whatever. Obviously, tonight actually is going to be the Thunder Rosa versus Riho. There's also going to be a 6-woman tag match involving Hikaru Shida. So, I mean, it should be good matches, right? But again, I just wish you put that on the show. But yeah, and like I said again, JP, I know you might be mad at me for this, but I really want Chris Jericho and MJF to win so bad.
Just for that, I want the Young Bucks to squash them 10 seconds. Double super kick, Meltzer driver to MJF only. Only to MJF.
Why MJF?
Only MJF.
Listen, man, I can't lie. Okay, I want to see them win, and hey, maybe we could see Santana and Ortiz get the titles from them.
That's not gonna happen. Don't
break up the inner circle.
Don't give me hope. Don't give me hope. We know it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, probably not. But whatever. I am excited for the match, and again, the whole build up again, it just further proves how excited I am for the match. It's gonna be great. For those 4 guys in the ring, you're probably due for a pretty good match there. So we move on. Hangman Page versus Isaiah Cassidy of Private Party. Obviously, Hangman Page, he's going to face Matt Hardy in that big money match. Whoever wins at Revolution gets their quarter-1 earnings. And last week, we saw Cassidy in the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot. In the mascot, he beat up Page from the background, from the back, and they have a match. And again, also a big money match is there, and obviously TH2 is also watching from ringside as well. Again, another good match here. And we also see, not only at the end, we see obviously, these two have some pretty good chemistry as well, but we also see during the match, obviously the Dark Order come out. And again, they're still, with Hangman Page, they still want to, want them to possibly join them. I think it was, there comes to a point at the end of the match where obviously Page wins this, by the way. Comes into the match where he cuts a promo after the match. It was Hardy, cutting a promo after the match saying that he's gonna hurt every single member of the Dark Order, and he began with Alan Angels, who's
Five.
what 5, right? Yeah, 5, and he sends him off the stage through a table. What an ass, just what an asshole. Um, but yeah, so JP, what did you think of this match? What did you think of the aftermath? Are you excited for that Revolution match?
This was a better match than I thought. I thought it was going to be kind of brief. I enjoyed the Hangman Page one with the Dead Eye. Recently he's been winning with the Buckshot Lariat, but having them use that second finisher as a winning move, again, I like when wrestlers have multiple finishers. It makes it more unpredictable. The post-match stuff was kind of traditional, kind of basic for a heel to do, is to attack the face's friends. I actually am excited for this match, at Revolution. I think adding the stipulation of all the quarter one earnings is really funny to me because that's something that I've never seen before. But you have to expect the Dark Order, Hybrid 2, and Private Party will be involved in the match somehow. But I'm excited for it. I'm not necessarily I guess I'm not excited for as much the in-ring stuff because I don't know what you can really expect from Matt Hardy in the ring right now in 2021. But I'm more excited for the story that's being told, especially with Hangman and the Dark Order. So I guess that's where I'm at with the Revolution match.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same boat. I will say that of all the matches there, it's probably my second to least anticipated match. My first one is Miro and Kip Sabian versus Chuck Taylor and Cassidy. I don't know, I just don't care about it. But when it comes to Matt Hardy and Hangman Page, to me, it's like, again, when it comes to the in-ring work, I don't know how good of a match it could be. Hopefully, we see Hangman Page win this. He shouldn't lose. I don't see a reason for him to lose that match. So, a good match between him and Cassidy, though. Good stuff there. The post-match stuff, like you said, was basic, and then obviously the match of Revolution should be fine. But definitely won't be the best match on the card. I could definitely bet on that. We move on to the women's world title eliminator match: Britt Baker, DMD versus Nyla Rose. And to me, personally, for me, it was match of the night. And again, further shows, please just put more women on the show, and I'm not talking about in that way. I'm talking about matches. I don't know why they have this thing. I mean, Kenny Omega says it's the studio, the TNT doing it. They want to see more. They don't want to see as much women's matches. That's what he said. He says if you want to see it, you tell them. Yeah, but aren't you in charge of that, bro? I don't know, man. But again, for me, it just further proves why the women in AEW are really good. It's not like it's not talented. They're really talented. It's just the acknowledgement level and stuff is just whatever. So we have this match, and again, it starts off where Baker gets very frustrated after being overpowered by Nyla Rose. She goes back into the ring after beating the 10 count and eats Samoan drop. But these two kind of go back and forth. Baker uses kind of Rebel as kind of a distraction here, but still Baker's is still working her way to Nyla Rose and possibly to a win here. Rose fights back. She gets the glove, Baker, but she gets it, but Rose just knocks her out, knocks Rebel into the corner. Rebel is in the ring for quite a bit actually, but she delivers a cannonball right to her. She tries to do it to Baker, but then Baker sends her into the exposed turnbuckle. She tries to apply the log job, but Rose powers out of it. A super kick by Baker, and then a crucifix bomb follows before she again attempts the log jaw. She again escapes, delivers a beast bomb for 2. Baker tries to do another super kick. Rose ducks, another beast bomb for the victory. I thought this was a really good match. However, I didn't want Nyla Rose to win this. I wanted Britt Baker to win this. What did you think? I'll explain my thoughts a little bit later. What did you think of the match? And did you care that Britt Baker didn't win or whatever?
It's a very good match. I think it's also tied for match of the night for me. A very physical match, very well done between both Nyla Rose and Britt Baker. I actually want Nyla Rose to win, and I understand the reason for you guys wanting Britt Baker to win. You also have to remember Nyla Rose is a former women's champion. It is going to be very difficult to beat her. And I don't think Britt Baker necessarily loses a lot with losing this match because it took 2 beast bombs to pin her. Like it normally it only takes Nyla Rose doing one. She had to pull out all of her offense multiple times just for her to keep Britt Baker down, which shows more in a loss for me. But I think Britt Baker's also very good mic-wise, where she can just enter back into a women's title contention at the drop of a hat. I think that's where she is at this point in her AEW career. I think Nyla Rose needed this win a little bit more because she has been off of TV recently. So I really don't mind it. And I kind of changed my mind on this whole like AEW, like having all their women's matches on Bleacher Report streaming. Like, I think it's tonight, actually. I was interacting with one of the people I follow and followed me on Twitter, and we kind of have a discussion about it. And you got to see it as a promotion instead of like a demotion, because AEW is testing the waters on having a pay-per-view on Sunday. So you have to test the market. Nobody's going to want to see Jake Hager versus Brandon Cutler on Bleacher Report streaming on a Sunday night.
That's for sure, yeah.
I'd rather see Thunder Rosa versus Rio. I understand wanting to have that on AEW television, but I think of it more as it's like a pay-per-view, but you're not paying for it. It's a free like pay-per-view. So I was mad at it at first, but now I kind of understand it. But like I said, Nyla Rose getting the win doesn't make me mad at all. I think she should have won. Shout out to Nyla Rose. So,
I mean, yeah, definitely shout out to Nyla Rose. She's great. However, I don't have a problem with the way Britt Baker lost. I mean, like you said, she lost pretty strong against like a formidable opponent like that Nyla Rose is. However, man, I just think Britt Baker. When I went into AEW and I was kind of learning about the roster and stuff like that with Britt Baker and says that she hasn't won a title yet, I'm like, okay, well, obviously it's pretty early, so maybe she'll get it. I don't know, man. Listen, to me, she is the most charismatic. In-ring talent is obviously really good, but on the mic, she has it all to me when it comes to the women's roster on AEW. To me, you put the title on her because I feel like you get more of an audience. I feel like people wanting more of women's wrestling on AEW television. If you put Britt Baker with the title, she has her own television. She has her own show, the waiting room and stuff like that. You could put that more on AEW television. To me, the sky is the limit with Britt Baker. I think she should have the title. And the fact that she lost to Nyla Rose, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, and we could have possibly seen a rematch between her and Thunder Rosa because if whoever wins tonight between Riho and her, I don't know, man. So I mean, I'm not terribly angry. However, I would have loved to see Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker at Revolution. That would have been pretty nice. However, the whole thing about the Sunday thing, I don't see it as a promotion. I don't see it as a demotion either. I just see it as a way of further not putting women's matches on Dynamite for some reason. And again, it's like, oh, they want to test the waters on Sunday. That's such bullshit. I'm sorry. Again, in my opinion, I just feel like, again, people watch pay-per-views on Sunday. That's the day that people do it. So testing out the waters, and again, they want to test out the relationship with Bleacher Report, which is fine. I definitely understand that. But you could have put another elimination match there, another women's eliminator match. Riho and Thunder Rosa is a banger matchup. That can possibly main event an AEW Dynamite show, and it could. Obviously Ray Phoenix and Lance Archer, which we'll talk about next, is great too. I don't know, man. So to me, that was just kind of a thing.
On Bleacher Report, what you put on Bleacher Report? Jake Hager versus Luther. Immediately, give it to me, Comic-Con.
Yeah, just don't do that. Just don't do that. Please don't. Hey man, Tony Khan being Booker of the Year, and then he books that. That would be amazing. That would be awesome.
Hager versus Luther in the main event of Revolution.
Imagine if they say, "Yeah, we're not doing Kenny Omega." Like I'm in the audience, so hyped for Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley, exploding barbed wire death match. Nah, just a regular singles match. Jake Hager and Luther, the winner. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Now I'm depressed.
Against Kenny Omega.
Now you just made me depressed. So let's move on, please. But again, good match. And we'll talk about the last match right now. We get to the Face of the Revolution ladder match qualifier, Ray Phoenix versus Lance Archer. Currently in the match is Penta, Scorpio Sky, and Cody Rhodes. So whoever is in this, I think this is going to be a six-man ladder match, and the winner of this is in there. They're gonna have another qualifying match next week. I think it's going to be one half.
There'll be 10 against Max Caster from.
There you go. And then it was reported, that the sixth participant is going to be announced at Revolution. So whoever that surprise opponent is, I don't know. And once I'll tell you what, I know you're thinking right now. The brain's working. Who that could be? You can say who you think it is, or if you want to save it for the predictions episode, you can do that too. I don't know.
But I'll save it for the predictions episode. But I got some. The cogs are turning.
The cobwebs they're clearing out. But we get to a match here, and I mean, what did you expect from these two? It was great. It was great. And listen, I know the whole discussion. I think we had the same discussion last week of like, is Ray Phoenix the best wrestler in the world? He continues to prove why he should be in the discussion. And obviously Lance Archer is no joke either. Again, I to me, the best matches sometimes are the contrasting styles, right? You have Lance Archer, who's this big guy, but he's still athletic, right? He can do a lot of stuff, but he still has that big presence. And then you have Ray Phoenix, who's the high flying guy, and these two put on a barn burner to end off. But just kind of going to the end, a little bit of the ending here. They're on the outside. You know, there comes to a point where Lance Archer tries to do like a cannonball to Phoenix on the guardrail. Phoenix escapes it, attempts a blackout. He delivers a 619 to the midsection, followed by a double stomp to the back of the head. Archer regains control, and then Phoenix misses a moonsault, but follows with a cutter immediately for a 2 count. Archer answers with the Fireman Buster. Phoenix chops away to Archer, took him across the ring. However, he's met by a pounce by Archer. I love that pounce move, by the way, whether it's Keith Lee or Lance Archer. It's an awesome move. And then he falls with a choke slam and then a blackout for the win. Lance Archer is in the Face of the Revolution ladder match. JP, thoughts on the match? Are you surprised that Ray Phoenix didn't win?
I'm not surprised Ray Phoenix didn't win because I wanted Lance Archer to win. This match was awesome. The contrasting styles worked so well. I think I said it last week. I'll say it again. Lance Archer is one of my favorite big men to watch in wrestling right now because he just doesn't care, man. It's like if you put the recklessness of Darby Allin into a 6'8", 280-pound man, and that's Lance Archer. It's so much fun to watch. And we're running out of adjectives for Ray Phoenix because you can't describe what he does. I mean, some of the things that he does, like the moonsault into the cutter, I think he just makes up moves like as he's wrestling. It's like, oh, that'll go well together. And he just does it. And it's just like, oh, wow, 10 out of 10. But I enjoy that Lance Archer's in the match for a few reasons. One, this match needed a big man. Having Penta, Scorpio Sky, and Cody Rhodes, you didn't have a formidable big man in there. Lance Archer gives you that. Two, you're continuing the feud between Cody and Lance Archer, who were feuding over the TNT title. I believe last year. And three, Lance Archer is literally on fire right now in AEW. You can't not have them in. But I guess you see the same thing with Ray Phoenix. If there's a way to put both of them in the match, I would love to. But I think Lance Archer benefits the most from it because Ray Phoenix did have a title shot recently.
Yes, and that title shot was amazing. So I completely agree there. Again, good match to end off AEW Dynamite. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that since before we move on to SmackDown, because that's the end of the show here, a big signing by AEW that we talked about a little bit on our accounts on social media. However, huge signing by AEW, and they addressed it a little bit. They have said on a press release that Paul White, aka The Big Show, is all elite. Huge, surprising. I woke up to this news and I'm like, excuse me? I did not expect this. We just saw the last time we saw Big Show on WWE television, Legends Night. Randy Orton tried to convince him that they should fight. That was the last time we saw him. JP, I'll start with you on this. thoughts on this. And before I actually give your thoughts, what they explained in the press release is that not only is he making his in-ring return, they said he's going to be commentating for AEW Dark Elevation, a new show that they're going to launch. He's going to be on the commentating crew with Tony Schiavone. And obviously Tony Schiavone, he said, I haven't worked with him in 20 years. Obviously they were both in WCW. That was great. What do you think of this news, JP?
Wow. I was utterly shocked. I thought Big Show was going to be a WWE lifer. Paul White now. I thought he was going to be a WWE lifer. But good for him for making the decision that he feels was best for him. I think by having him both in ring and on commentary, that's the best way to use him. Because I think Big Show genuinely is one of the he's one of the better big men in the business, in wrestling history. Because he can do so much, in ring. I don't know about the best big man.
I mean, number 2.
I don't know if he's number 2, man.
Because obviously, to me, I mean, Andre the Giant, right? But
see, I was gonna go Andre the Giant at number 1.
No, yeah, that's to me is number 1, yeah. But I was thinking Big Show is pretty close. I mean, for modern day, he has to be the best. I don't see anybody competing.
Undertaker.
Who?
That's the best big man in wrestling history.
Say again, I didn't hear you.
The Undertaker.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Because I was thinking about that too. I was thinking about Undertaker. I was thinking about Kane. I was thinking about these guys. To me, you're not wrong, okay? But to me, I was more thinking about giants. I'm saying the best giants in wrestling. And to me, there's no contest. To me, Big Show's a better giant.
When you say giant, yeah, I guess there's only Big Show, and maybe Vader, and Andre the Giant.
Yeah, but when it comes to big men, I agree. Undertaker has been cemental. But again, so keep going with the
Big Show
thoughts.
Is so versatile in what he can do. He showed that in WWE. He could do comedy, he was with Rikishi, dancing with Too Cool. He had a rap battle with John Cena. I genuinely think he's going to enjoy his time on commentary. And him in ring, I'm kind of just okay, I guess, because you haven't really had a challenge for all the other big men in AEW. Lance Archer, there's been nobody bigger than Lance Archer. Jake Hager, Wardlow, Brian Cage, who else am I forgetting? Luchasaurus. They haven't had any real rivals outside of each other. Adding Big Show, he immediately is the biggest man in AEW. So now that makes the big men have to be kind of the underdog. So it sets up pretty interesting matches in the future. But I'm more excited for what he's going to do outside of the ring in terms of developing the big men that they're working with and on commentary.
Yeah, that was pretty much my main thing, is that I'm excited to what he's going to do with the locker room. Again, I feel bringing in that WWE knowledge to AEW is worthy, and especially having a guy who, again, has been one of the best big men ever. And again, bringing it to the guys like Luchasaurus, like Lance Archer, and a lot of people in the locker room, I think it would just be proved beneficial. And again, doing the whole commentary thing with Schiavone should be great as well. But that he's gonna do some wrestling here, even though people are saying, "Well, Big Show joins AEW, he's gonna be developing the guys. He's not gonna wrestle." You said the same thing about Sting. Okay.
Big Show in a street fight coming up with Brian Cage.
Okay, so listen, and then people are like, "Oh, but he has a record page." No, he's gonna develop the talent. No, he's not. He's gonna wrestle. So, and obviously people are saying, "Oh, then now that." So what they did is that they announced the contract details on Dynamite about Paul White, and he's actually going to be in attendance. He's going to be he's probably going to do a promo or talking about him signing on AEW next week. Same show that Shaq is on. So all I'm saying,
Why did you remind me of that?
All I'm saying is that I would not mind seeing backstage those two running into each other. That would be good to see. Come on, JP.
Why do you keep involving Shaq? Stop.
Shaq is going to be in a match. Okay?
Stop it.
So, yeah. But like I said, I mean, again, when I heard the news, I was totally shocked. I'm happy for him, though, because to me, I'm obviously I thought he was going to be in WWE for his whole career. But I'm happy, man. Listen, whatever Fotes is about, obviously he wasn't doing that much. The last major thing he did was the thing with Randy Orton where he had that match, which was fun. Obviously, it was a good part of the storyline. But again, if he wants to be more involved in the backstage stuff, and maybe WWE wasn't giving him that. He's like, okay, well, I'll just take my talents to AEW. I honestly feel I'm hoping that the whole mutual. I hope it was mutually agreed. It wasn't like it ended off on bad terms. I doubt it did because I mean, what WWE and Big Show have done for the last 20 something years has been so great for each other. So we'll see. And Cody made a really funny tweet. He was saying like, hopefully he'll stay face this time because he just switched so much with WWE. But still, man, I'm happy for Big Show. Big Show's great. Paul White, congratulations there. But we moved to SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown. And obviously a lot of things have happened, at Elimination Chamber as Roman Reigns destroyed Daniel Bryan. Edge comes out, spears him, challenges him at WrestleMania for the Universal title. That will be the title match. But look out now. He comes out to the ring, Roman Reigns, and he pretty much says, I don't think it's a secret. SmackDown needs me. And he says, I show up to the ring and I operate at another level, which is what I did to Daniel Bryan at Elimination Chamber. He was talking about Edge. He was saying that, my night was perfect until you showed up. He says, I don't know if you want to face me at WrestleMania. You don't want it. You don't need me. You don't need that in your life. You're a father. You're a family man. Why would you want to do that? You're a husband. This is why a man like you doesn't stand a chance against a man like me, who comes out, Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan comes out and suggests that some fancy, he's heard along the grapevine that he thinks that what he did at Elimination Chamber was cowardly. After Daniel Bryan last in an Elimination Chamber match, he comes out, he beats him up, and then he retains the title. But then he says, "Well, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to challenge you for the Universal title at Fastlane, so we have an actual match here." And who comes in? It's Jey Uso. He takes the mic from Daniel Bryan. I love Jey Uso so much. Takes the mic from Daniel Bryan. He's like, "Who do you think you are, Us? Who do you think you are?" And then he says, like, "Listen, if you want to go, if you want to get to him, you got to go through his right hand man, and that's me." And then he says, you have to respect him. He's the big dog. He runs the stuff around here, and he gives him back the mic. But Daniel Bryan, he doesn't even remember what he says. He goes back to Roman Reigns, and they look back at each other, and Roman Reigns says, "Do you really want this? Like, after what I did to you last night, or after what I did to you on Sunday, do you really want this?" And then Jey Uso just attacks Daniel Bryan. He throws him out of the ring, and he throws him over the barricade. And Roman Reigns and Jey Uso are just like laughing, going backstage. And that's the opening segment. So again, it just feels like a broken record me saying this, but every opening segment it always starts with Roman Reigns. It always has to start, and it's always great. What did you think? Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, I absolutely love this segment because it's something that I've been waiting for since like 2015 when Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan had a match at Fastlane. This, I can't wait, man. I love what they're doing with Daniel Bryan now. Kind of him playing into Roman Reigns' kind of egotistical side, saying, "Hey, if you're such the main event, if you're the head of the table, why weren't you in the main event? That sounds like something that you could have done. It sounds like you weren't good enough." And I just love it. I love what Daniel Bryan's doing right now. Jey and Roman are at the top of their games. I think Edge is a very intriguing part of all of this because, of course, Edge won the Rumble, but him going backstage to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville saying, "Why is Daniel Bryan getting the title shot before me, even though I won the Rumble?" It's really good. It shows some continuity between storylines. But as far as the segment goes, nobody in that ring missed. Nobody in that ring ever misses. So what did you expect? They didn't miss.
Absolutely. And like you said, Edge kind of goes to Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce and says, like, why is he getting it? If he's going to get a title shot, why is that? And that's always been a logic gap. We talked about it before. It's like, if they already said that Edge is going to face Reigns at WrestleMania, then why are you going to have a title match right in between it at a pay-per-view? So I kind of understand that. But that's what happens. But we move on to Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus Otis and Chad Gable, another match from last week, where we saw Otis turn heel possibly, and we're like, okay. He kept beating up Rey Mysterio afterwards. He injured his ribs. It looks like we see the Mysterios come down to the ring. Rey Mysterio is still injured over there. And the match pretty much acts in the kind of the same way. There's a little brief, just like it was before. It comes to a point where Otis crashes into Mysterio's ribs with that big splash, that kind of tsunami style Bronson Reed type splash for the win. And again, our man is heel now. And here's what I say, right? To me, he was a very likable character. And I think he honestly should have stayed face, if I'm being quite real with you. The thing is that if they want to set him up heel to make him realistic as a champion, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I actually want him as a heel, and I want him as a heel with Gable because now you set up another tag team in that division who could logically challenge for the tag titles. Despite our thoughts on Rey and Dominic Mysterio in terms of how many times they've won and lost matches, Rey Mysterio is a legend. Dominic Mysterio has been on TV a lot. So them turning heel and getting a very strong win over Rey and Dominic Mysterio, it sets them up not only as heels, but as heel threats to the Dirty Dogs tag team titles.
Yeah. I can see that. Even though, like, again, I just think I'm glad that Gable is with him. I feel like if he was alone being heel, it's just kind of boring in my opinion. The fact that Gable is with him is great, so I don't mind it. I don't know if they want to, like, if he was heel, I don't know. It's like I feel like they make him heel just to be formidable as a champion, which I guess I understand. But if at one point the whole American Alpha thing kind of breaks up, then I don't know what's gonna happen from that, or excuse me, the Alpha Academy sort of thing. Um, we move on to Shinsuke Nakamura versus Apollo Crews. Before the match, Apollo Crews, good shit from Apollo Crews. I gotta say, man, Apollo Crews. We've talked about it before. The in-ring work, we already know about the in-ring work. He's amazing. When it comes to the mic work, we knew that he needed a little bit of work, a lot of work here. Um, so, but he comes out to the ring in some new gear, green stuff. He puts on a scarf. It's like green and white, and he pretty much says, like, listen, um, throughout my career in WWE so far, I've been modest, I've been respectful, I've been nice, but people don't share the same thing with me. Which to me, listen, I am part of Nigerian royalty, wealth, dominance, stuff like that. I deserve to be respected, especially from what my grandfathers and the people before him have said to me. I need to be respected among my peers. And what I did to Big E is what I'm going to do to Shinsuke Nakamura next. Before he gets to the match, JP, thoughts on this promo here from Cruz.
I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it because it adds more depth to Apollo Crews' character. Before he was just kind of this smiling guy who was real strong and he was black. Now he has more depth and reason to why he does what he does. So I loved it. I love the gear. I love the scarf. Everything about this so far is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, this is a whole new Apollo Crews, and I'm loving every single minute of it. Again, that promo impressed the hell out of me. Again, when he talks about it, like the whole and like his past, like the whole how he's part of Nigerian royalty, about how he should be respected more than every other people. Obviously, what he did to Big E last week, and again, like you said, the gear looks great. I'm excited to see what Cruz does next. However, he has a match. He attacks Shinsuke before his entrance. They get into the ring. These two have a nice little brief match together. It comes before Nakamura recovers. He delivers a sliding German of his own, which, by the way, that's one of my favorite moves that Nakamura does. That sliding German suplex. That's so cool. And then he's setting up for the Kinshasa, but Cruz rolls to the floor. He drives the artist to the ring steps, and then he goes back inside. Nakamura grabs a hold of a sleeper, but Cruz grabs hold of a scarf, which pulls Nakamura into the turnbuckle. Some heelish tactics right there. A kick to the neck from an Enziguri, and then leading to an angle slam. Good stuff there for the win. And Shinsuke pinned cleanly. No sign of Biggie. Obviously, Biggie got hurt from the ring steps from before. Thoughts on the match? Thoughts on Shinsuke losing?
I was really sad about Shinsuke losing, but then I saw the promo leading up to it. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. You had to have him in there with somebody formidable for him to look like a legitimate threat to the IC title. I thought it was a cool match. I like that he uses the angle slam. I always felt like Apollo Crews used a lot of different finishers and never really stuck with one. I think he should stick with the angle slam because it looks really good when he does it, and he can hit it on multiple people. The toss power bomb looks cool, but I don't exactly see him hitting that on Braun Strowman. Personally, I don't know how strong Apollo Crews is, but I don't know, man. That's a hard sell for me.
I don't know. He looks pretty damn strong to me, man. So, um, again, I just feel that what Cruz is doing right now, we're probably gonna see him face Biggie again, for the IC title, which could, if they do it at like a you know a pay per view like Fastlane, that could steal the whole night. I feel if you just give them the time to do it, because we've seen what Apollo can do in the ring, we see what Big E can do. I think it's gonna be great. So, but we move on. Liv Morgan versus Tamina Snuka. Um,
The match that you wanted to get to.
I mean, listen, people, if you know me, maybe I haven't said it as much. Everybody knows I'm a Sasha Banks fan, but obviously, listen, I'm also a big. I love Liv Morgan, man. Um, I think she's great. I think the Riot Squad deserves to, at some point, to have the women's tag team titles. However, I was thinking, oh no, we're gonna see Billie Kay interfere again. Man, I wish she did. I gotta be real. Here's why. Man, she lost cleanly to Tamina. I'm not saying Tamina is a joke. She's definitely not. But it seems like they're giving her a slight push here with Natalia. Spoiler alert: she beats Liv Morgan here. Um, but we see this new motivation here from Tamina, which again, whatever. She's accompanied by Natalia, like I said before. Um, she really controlled the match early. She overwhelmed Morgan to start off with a power and size advantage. Liv fought back for a little bit, but Snuka cuts her off, delivering a Samoa drop for the 1-2-3. And they're saying, the commentating crew, Cole and Graves, are saying how Natalia has kind of like motivated Tamina in this new light here. I mean, I don't know what's going on here with the Riot Squad. I don't think they should take losses here, especially to Tamina, who usually puts over people. Thoughts on this?
Oh boy. I don't know, man. It just felt like a match. Like, it wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was just a match. It didn't hurt anyone necessarily. I don't know. It didn't benefit anybody. But it's just weird how they keep having the Riot Squad lose all these singles matches when they're supposed to be like one of the only tag teams that the women's division has. The only. If we're not counting Charlotte and Asuka. And I mean, no. Hold on. You do have the number one contenders, Naomi and Lana. So I don't know, man. It just felt like a match. I can't really say I loved it or hated it. It was just there.
Poor Liv. Yeah. Liv, it's okay. I can help you on the farm. Whatever. Even though I heard that her and Bo Dallas are a thing. I don't know. But
go leave and you can do it.
Screw Bo leaving. How about Zach leaving? I like that better than Bo leaving.
We're gonna make that a phrase. Zach leaving.
Yeah, please no. No, Liv, please. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever. But again, I'm hoping that the Riot Squad, it's up from here because again, like you said, like I said, I mean, oh man, let's drop that. They're like the only established tag team, women's tag team. I mean, unless you're saying that Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, which I guess they are. I mean, I mean, as of late, it's been okay. I don't know. Moving on. Bianca Belair before the show that says she's gonna make her decision on who she's gonna face at WrestleMania. It was, we didn't know who she was gonna pick. We didn't know. But she comes to the ring. It's actually Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville in the ring, kind of announcing her, kind of bringing her in. She says, you have a bevy of opponents you could choose from. Two. She said they don't even mention Io Shirai with the NXT title, which I feel like you knew that she was not gonna pick her, but it would be cool to see it, having NXT in that light on the main roster. It would have been cool. She doesn't do it. I mean, even though she could have said I could pick Io because I never won the NXT Women's title, whatever. But yeah, they kind of do a whole little video package. They show Asuka and her what she's done. They showed Sasha Banks and what she's done. But before she's talking about it and stuff like that, she was talking about choices. She says, "My mom has taught me that choices are huge. If you make a good choice, it ends up being good. If you make the bad choice, that could ruin for the rest of your life on some choices." But before she could decide who interrupts, it's Reginald. Has his own music, has his own Titantron. Reginald, god damn it, Reginald. She comes out and he says, he tries to tell her, like, your mother is correct about decisions, which is why if you pick Sasha, you're gonna lose. So you should pick someone else. And who comes out? It's boss time. It's Sasha Banks. She comes out and she comes into the ring. She has a SmackDown Women's title like before. Her theme music plays, but whatever. She comes down to the ring. No, JP, no. She comes down to the ring and she tells Reginald, like once again, Reginald, you can't speak for me, and stuff like that. And she basically gives a pitch to Bianca Belair, saying like, listen, you call yourself the quickest, the roughest, the strongest, the toughest. You're not the best. That's me. And Belair, she gets the mic and she says, listen, I'm gonna make you eat your words. I'm gonna take that title from you at WrestleMania. And so I'm gonna prove that I'm the quickest, I'm the roughest, I'm the toughest, I'm the quickest. I already said quickest. I'm the best.
Quickest twice.
Quickest twice because she is quick. And she's the best. And that is the match. We're getting Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. We knew this was happening, but they finally announced it at WrestleMania. That should main event one of the nights. It should. Also, both the Royal Rumble winners choose SmackDown. The champions from SmackDown, further proving that SmackDown right now is a show. There's definitely no doubt about it. JP, thoughts on this?
Reginald aside, I don't think we needed Reginald for this whole segment. This was exactly what you want it to be. It's the competitiveness between Banks and Belair. You knew it was going to happen as soon as she said she's making the decision on SmackDown. You kind of had a feeling she's going to choose Sasha Banks. You had a feeling she's going to choose Sasha Banks since she won the Rumble. Putting all that aside, this is the main event for night one of WrestleMania. I don't care what happens with the WWE title. Shoot, they could bring back John freaking Cena and challenge for the WWE title. Banks versus Belair should be the main event. It's going to be one of the best matches that night. I think the build up for it's going to be especially great if they leave Reginald out of it. But I'm excited for this match as a whole. It's going to be awesome.
The two main events for the night, if we're thinking that it's going to be those two matches, it's going to be absolutely outstanding. So I can't wait for it. We'll see how the build-up is. We'll see if Sasha Banks defends her title. Obviously Carmella is still, I guess, in the middle of this because Reginald is still involved. I mean, a couple weeks ago we saw Reginald kind of like tell Carmella that he was doing something, even though Carmella knows he was not doing what he was saying. So I'm not sure how Carmella fits into this, but the whole Reginald thing, I don't know. I'm kind of getting tired of Reginald a little bit in this story, if I'm being quite honest here. We'll see. He just wants to get with Sasha Banks, and I don't like that very much. If I gotta be real, okay. So Reginald's, come on, man. No, but still, man.
Zach versus Reginald, exploding barbed wire death match.
Book it, Vince. Book it right now.
WrestleMania night 3.
Night 3, just as put it on Bleacher Report. I don't know. Who cares? Put it on WWE Network. I don't know. Yes, please book it. No, but seriously, we'll see how Reginald fits into all this. But the match should be a banger. It's a historical match. Okay, because what was the
this will be the first main event, or not main event, but this will be the first title match between two, like world title match between two black wrestlers in WWE history. Which is shocking to think about. Sad also, but it's really cool that they get their spotlight.
That is true. I'm trying to think of another match that had that world title at WrestleMania, but there really isn't. I mean, it's always been one, right, out of the two. We saw Kofi and Daniel, right? So
it's been in terms of world title, like top title, it's been Kofi,
Booker T,
and I think that's it.
Oh my god. Okay, well, and we're gonna have another one. And both of them are black, so it's gonna be great. And obviously, I mean, they're the two best in the business. So I mean, it's just great. It's historical. It's great. It could be the best. I mean, it could be the best match of the whole 2 nights. Who knows?
That's a bold prediction. I hope.
Yeah. I mean, I'm cool with it. I mean, here's the thing: Edge and Roman will be great. I think Bianca Belair and Sasha could just it could be amazing. So we'll see. But that ends that segment. It was obviously great. We get to the Street Profits versus Sami Zayn and King Corbin. By the way, JP, did you see this picture of King Corbin like several years, like 10 years ago, when he was like in the NFL, kind of he was an offensive lineman? Did you see that picture?
I think I've seen the photo that you're talking about, but I'm not sure.
Dude, shout out to him. Okay. He was, I'm not saying he was fat, but he looks like an offensive lineman. You know what I'm saying? Big and stuff like that. But now he's just like ripped. Good for him, man. I just wanted to mention it because I saw that recently. But him and Zayn are talking backstage, and he has a problem with the broadcast, not broadcasting crew, but like the documentarians that are there with Sami Zayn trying to, show the corruption from WWE management and whatever. So they get to the match, and um, Corbin and Zayn, they manage to work over Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, but it comes to a point where they get that obviously that babyface comeback that we all know and love at ringside. Corbin shoves off Zayn's documentary team, which I thought was great. But then Sami Zayn is like talking, like, well, what are you doing? He's like on the middle rope, and then Montez Ford jumps right over him to King Corbin, which I thought was great. And then back in the ring, Dawkins flattens Zayn with a spine buster, or it was like a neck breaker, and then Ford finished him with that frog splash, which I don't know how he gets that much air, but he gets the frog splash for the 1, 2, 3. The Street Profits beat Zayn and Corbin, and obviously who's watching? It's the Dirty Dogs, it's Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. They're drinking from solo cups. And it seems that we're gonna get that rematch for the tag team titles. What did you think of this, JP?
I thought it was a fun match. You knew the Street Profits were going to win, but Sami Zayn and King Corbin are very enjoyable as heels and made the faces look good. I would do have to say, Sami, you are in Florida. If you don't get consent for video, you could be eligible for like libel or slander. Oh God, I'm a journalism major. How do I not know this?
Whatever. Listen,
Whatever.
we both know this.
You get sued.
Yeah.
Sorry, Neil. I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
Two-party consent.
Two-party consent. That's what it is. Two-party consent in the state of Florida. So Sam needs to watch out for that.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, fine match, whatever. Puts Street Profits back in the win column there. Setting him up for the Dirty Dogs, probably rematch. So is what it is. Who comes to the ring? Seth Rollins, another fashionable style he comes out in, and he pretty much says like, the letter that I sent last week was great on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. On TikTok, he says TikTok. And then he was talking later and talk about, a little bit about Cesaro, kind of hinting at it. And who comes out of Cesaro? And he wastes no time. He comes to the ring in jeans. He takes off his shirt. He's ready to destroy Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins is like, wait. No, hold on a second. Let me explain myself real quick. Look at yourself. You're impressive. You're strong. You have everything you need to become a world champion. But why do you think that is? Not because of booking. No. It's because you don't have that killer instinct like I do. There's a reason why I've done all the things I've done in WWE. Won world champions, do whatever, be the Beast Slayer. I don't think he said that part, but he says all this stuff, and he says because I can give that killer instinct to you, so you can be at the top level of WWE. So you need to join me. Embrace the vision. Think about it. You don't need to think now. Next week, in 2 weeks, just think about it. And so it's like, maybe, nah, gets him in the swing. He swings him for a long time, hits that uppercut that just hurts, like it knocked all my teeth out of my jaw, and that's it. And then as he's making his way out from the ramp, we get the start. We're gonna see Daniel Bryan face Jey Uso. If Daniel Bryan wins, he faces Roman Reigns. But before we get to that, in the segment, I thought that was fine. Like we said before, Cesaro and Seth Rollins, if they do that match at WrestleMania or wherever, that match is going to be so great. Thoughts on the segment, JP?
Love the segment. I need that shirt Cesaro wears. It says "Love Wrestling." I need that shirt. When they sell it, I'll be the first one to buy it. I love this segment because, again, it sets up the match between Cesaro and Seth Rollins, which, just thinking about it now, I'm already imagining like 5-star, 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 5-star everywhere. Just give them 20 minutes and let them go to work. That's essentially what this match would be at WrestleMania. Give them 20 minutes, one ring, no shenanigans. Let two of the best in the world go at it. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I keep repeating myself, but usually I would say at a WrestleMania, you have one of those matches that's not for the title. It's just one of those matches that, like, could be the show stealer. Again, I always point to Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. That was the one match. That was the best match of the card. It wasn't for a title. It was just the best match. You had Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 19. There's a lot of other matches. I mean, WrestleMania 25, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. You have a lot of those matches. I think Cesaro and Seth Rollins could be one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to say it's going to steal the night because you have so many possible matches that could be really good there. But that match will just be a banger. We thought it was going to be Daniel Bryan in there, but those two, I mean, you can't really go wrong there. But again, at the end here, we get Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. Daniel Bryan, if he wins, he faces Roman Reigns at Fastlane for the Universal title. And this match is good. I mean, these two kind of go at it. And we've seen these two fight before a couple times, actually. So this is not the last time we see these. I'm not saying it's a problem. However, these two have a pretty good match back and forth there. However, it comes to the moment where we get to the ending here. Bryan, he fights back. Again, the knee is a staple here. It's a focus for Jey Uso. He tries to set up for the running knee. Uso catches him mid-run, taking the knee out under him. It continues to the point where the referee had no choice but to call for the bell, where they went outside and declare a double count out. And after that, Roman Reigns comes to the ring. He attacks Bryan. He almost gets him in a yes lock, but then he gets out of it and hits Bryan with a spear. He does the guillotine choke to choke him out, and that's the end of the show. He gets the title. He raises it above him. Nothing from Edge here, and that's the ending there. Thoughts on this?
Okay, so my thoughts on this are an idea that I want to run by you.
Oh boy!
At WrestleMania, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan versus Edge for the title. I would hate it. I'd love it.
I've heard this because obviously with the whole Daniel Bryan being in their thing and stuff like that. I don't know, and here's why. Why win the Royal Rumble then? That's my only thing. Because that match, that triple threat match, is amazing when you look at the people in it. Okay. But I just don't know what the point of him winning the Royal Rumble match is if it's gonna be a triple threat match,
I kind of think of it as Becky Lynch winning the Rumble at WrestleMania 35. She's gonna challenge for both. Just fight both of them at the same time. Edge is gonna be facing Roman, and clearly Daniel Bryan has unfinished business with Roman Reigns. Now this could all be null and void if Roman beats Daniel Bryan clean at Fastlane, assuming that Daniel Bryan wins against Jey Uso in a steel cage match on Friday at SmackDown. This could all be null and void if Roman Reigns wins cleanly. But just thinking about that match between Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns would be awesome because it's clear that Edge and Daniel Bryan are not on the same page. It's clear Edge and Roman don't like each other. It's clear Daniel Bryan and Roman don't like each other. It's clear that both Edge and Daniel Bryan don't like Jey Uso. Who knows? Jey Uso still might want to get another title shot. There's so many movable parts here with just those four guys where I could see them making it a triple threat match. But again, this could all be null and void if Roman Reigns wins cleanly at Fastlane.
The thing about the triple threat match that kind of makes me think is that if they're going to put Daniel Bryan in there, it's just so if they want Edge to win, he pins Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And not Roman.
Yeah.
That would be the only reason.
It makes sense because you can't, I'm not saying you can't have Roman eat a pin, but it's going to be hard because Roman is the hottest thing in WWE right now. Having him take a pin, even from Edge, would kind of slow down the momentum, although he could just pick it right back up. But having that triple threat match there with Daniel Bryan, it allows for an avenue for Roman to keep his heat as a heel and for Edge to win. And I don't think Daniel Bryan would lose a lot from being pinned because Daniel Bryan is he's a certified legend at this point.
He is. no question.
He doesn't lose much from being pinned there. He can always just get it back.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just kind of something I've been kind of spitballing around. This could, like I said, this could all be null and void if Roman Reigns beats Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. But it's been something I've been tossing around.
Right. And like you said, next week, Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso are going to have a rematch. And it seems like it's going to be the same stipulation. If Daniel Bryan wins, he faces Roman at Fastlane in a steel cage. So that should be fun as well. And that's SmackDown. So good episode there. And that's going to be it. That's it for the week. Tonight, we have that Thunder Rosa Riho match. We also have a 6-woman tag team match involving Hikaru Shida. So, and obviously Hikaru Shida is going to face the winner of the women's tournament at Revolution as well. So that's going to do it for us. Next week, we're going to have that weekend review. Maybe we'll plan another episode here and there, a top 10 list, a tier maker, whatever. But also keep on the lookout. We're going to have a Revolution predictions. We'll probably do it after Dynamite, anytime after Dynamite, really, just so there's like another edition, which they're going to be, it's going to be Max Caster, or what is it? Is it going to be 10? So we'll see how that happens, but keep on the lookout for that. And that's gonna do it. I'm Zachary Weinberger. I'm your co-host here. You'll follow me on Twitter at Zach Weinberger, Zach with an H, WEINBERGER. Write stuff. I'm a freelancer for The Ford. An interesting article that could come out there later involving the wrestling world. We'll see. I'll give you updates there. But check out my stuff there, University Press, Owl Radio. I'm involved everywhere. I do another podcast with Jacob Brown. It's called The Nerd Pod. You can follow that on Twitter at The Nerd Pod too. You can hear me talk about just nerd stuff, movies, television shows, the whole shebang. You can follow JP on Twitter at Acosta32_JP.
It is. Yes, you can. You can follow me there. I write about football for Big Cat Country. I'm also looking into writing some more about anime, about wrestling. If you ever see anybody needs writers, give me a shout. I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm also pretty funny on Twitter, I guess, sometimes. But, that's where you'll find me. You'll find me on random podcasts, various writing sites. So just give it a shout.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for us. And so that's going to do it for us, man, here at the LNSL podcast. Again, next week is going to be filled. We have another eventful week of wrestling, championship matchups, a pay-per-view on Sunday, which I'm excited to go to. I'll definitely be taking some pictures from there. Hopefully I don't die of the explosions of the barbed wire coming in my face.
You got to be in the zone. You got to be in the zone.
Oh, man, it's going to be great. And that's going to do it for us. We'll see you next time. Again, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, and anywhere you stream podcasts, give us a review. See you guys later.